Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this first board meeting of the month for April 2021. Before we begin, even with establishing a quorum, it's been a rough couple of days. I mean, it's been a rough year for sure, but it has been a rough few days to be a parent, to be African American, to be disenfranchised, to lose someone. It's just been rough. So if you all don't mind, whatever it is you would like to do during a moment of silence, please do so now. Thank you so much. So we have established a quorum. We are in full attendance. We will begin our day with a public participation period where the community can come and speak to us for 3 minutes. Once your name is listed, or your name is, excuse me? I'm so sorry. Let's back that up. We are excited to get to public participation, but we do have a couple of visitors, and one of them will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have our Parent Advisory Council, otherwise known as our PAC. We have those citywide representatives here. We have the chair, Mrs. Bebe Hines, vice chair, Mr. Kevin Walker, and acting secretary, Ms. Dawn Johnson. But I think Vice Chair Walker will be leading us in the pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, we will move on to our public participation where members of the community can come for 3 minutes and speak before us. At the end of those 3 minutes, you'll hear a ding. If you see your name listed, we will call it out also. We'll begin with Ms. Catherine Hines.
Elizabeth Hines. Okay, hi. My name is Elizabeth Hines, and I live at 4856 Lynn Drive, right by the zoo. The purpose of the Parent Advisory Council, PAC, is to provide opportunities for effective involvement of all parents in Metro Nashville schools, promote healthy communication, support partnerships with and among school stakeholders. So how will we do this? We need support. We're looking for parent and principal partnerships. Want to set a stage where MNPS will come and listen to the parents, and the PAC leaders will create a way to get feedback from parents through meetings, surveys, and just conversations. We're all learning. The team members, we are made of myself, the chair, vice chair, Kevin Walker, our acting secretary, and one of our cluster PAC leaders, Dawn Johnson. A couple of our cluster PAC leaders who are not here today, they are working. We've got Erica, Lanier, Darius Chamber, and Anne Marie Farmer. We have lots of school PAC reps, so that's a rep from each school, and we're still building that list. We've got MNPS School Board Member Liaison, Miss Emily Masters, and as of today, officially, Miss Mariana Merritt is our MNPS coordinator. She's with the Family Engagement. She's an MNPS employee. We're connecting with our city council members, trying to convince one to be one of our liaisons, and then a few local community partners. So that's what we're doing. We do not have a budget. We don't have a grant. We don't have a penny. It's just parents. And our email address is mnpspac@gmail.com. I manage that email account. I check it every day. My office hours, Monday 1 to 3, Wednesday mornings, Thursday evenings, and Saturday afternoons. I want to make sure I'm available for all of our parents so that whenever they're available, I'm available for them. Upcoming events in the rest of April, we have our PAC leadership meeting on April 20th. We've been invited to attend District 4 community meeting by Mr. John Little on April 24th. And then there is a Community Achieves 18 meeting that we've been invited to, myself and Kevin, on April 30th. So who am I? I'm glad to be here. Thank you again. I'm Elizabeth Hines. I'm chair of the PAC. My term began February 2021, and it's going to end May 2022. I have a lot of work to do. I want to get as many parents involved as possible, and I'm hoping that MNPS will help us. I'm hoping the school board will help us, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Do y'all have the bill? Can you text him? All right, next we have Lindsey
Leak.
Leak. My apologies.
It's all good. All right. Hi, my name is Lindsey Leak. I'm at 866 Beth Drive. And I'm coming, so first, thank you for listening to us. And I want to come talk to you today because currently the Tennessee State Legislature is considering several bills that are detrimental to the success and well-being of our students and staff. As educators, we have a duty to provide our students with the skills and knowledge they need to navigate the world. This includes recognizing and supporting the LGBTQ community. While there are people in our district, our legislature, and across the state that disapprove of LGBTQ people, our district has decided many times to support LGBTQ students. So now is a time when we as a district need to take a stand for our students. As professionals, we know that supporting students' identities is essential for social and academic success. It's why MNPS recognized International Pronouns Day. It's why we've invested in restorative justice programs and positions. It's why schools across our district have been building gender sexuality alliance programs. And it's why educators like me can feel safe to speak with all of you about this dangerous legislation. We need you to tell the state that we don't want them controlling our classrooms. We don't want them denying our students access to inclusive materials. LGBTQ students deserve to see themselves mirrored in the curriculum. All of our students deserve to have a full curriculum that is honest about our history and includes diverse perspectives about our present. Schools that teach about LGBTQ history see LGBTQ students with higher self-esteem and sense of belonging, and cis straight students who are more empathetic and more likely to stand up for their peers. That's the learning environment we should be building. And we need you as our board to tell the state that we won't accept these anti-LGBTQ policies. Thank you.
Thank you. Honey Harris.
Everybody, it's good to be back in this building. Good to see everybody. I am Honey Harris, and I want to say I live in the best district in the world, and I am a product of Old Hickory and Tulip Grove faculty and staff and students. Yes. This is my baby, Tulip Grove right here, y'all. Hello, members of the board. My name is Honey Harris, and I have worked for MNPS for over 20 years. Actually, I'm going on 25. First, I want to thank you for including the step raises and the maintenance portion of the effort budget. Every year that I've worked for the board, I have not been paid the same number of days and been on payroll as the teachers. Missing those days result in an annual salary that does not reflect my worth, nor the cost of living in Davidson County. Those skip days also create pay periods where I, as a support employee, have received a check as low as $200 for a 2-week time frame. But when I first started 20 plus years ago, I had a check that was so small, I wrestled with putting the dollar amount on here because it wasn't a dollar, that it wasn't even worth printing the check. And that's what I said to our bookkeeper. But that was a time before R12, that time did exist. Funding these 7 days would mean the world to me and my family. Funding these days will allow me to pay all of my bills in a timely manner, purchase healthy, nutritious, and balanced meals, as well as purchase school clothes for my son to begin the school year like his peers. He is at a critical age. He's about to start middle school, where social emotional experiences and attending school daily is highly important. During COVID, we have seen just how important it is to have paid family leave. When our loved ones get sick, we should not have to choose between taking care of our family and being able to pay the rent. The best example I can give you is I teach special ed. And when school started back for us, he's in 4th grade. There was a 5-day window when I was supposed to report back and when he was supposed to report back. That was 5 days that I had to take without pay, and I had sick time. But if we had paid family leave, I wouldn't have to make that choice. Metro government employees have had paid leave since 2017, and this is a benefit everyone should have. I work hard every day and have dedicated a lifetime of education to our most vulnerable students. I am not asking you for anything that I'm not willing to work for. I'm asking you, my employer, to show me the same dedication, loyalty, and respect and investment that I have given our students over the last 20+ years. Please do not forget that a majority of your employees have children, typically, that are enrolled in MNPS. The impact of not paying your employees directly affects a significant number of MNPS students. Keep our mission in mind when you make these funding decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Fabiola Camargo. Dawn Johnson.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. My name is Dawn Johnson. I reside at 303 Timberdale Court. I am the mother of a 4th grader at Creve Hall Elementary School, and I am the Overton Cluster Parent Advisory Council chairperson and the acting secretary for the PAC. The Overton Cluster straddles Districts 2 and 7, and I want to thank Board Representatives Frida Player Peters and Rachel Ann Elrod, 3 names, for participating in our cluster meetings regularly. And I also want to really thank Emily Masters, because she is welcome to the PAC and been there to support us. We've had a couple of meetings with her so far, and she invited our attendance regularly, which means a lot as a parent. And we appreciate the support from the board. I volunteered to be the Overton Cluster PAC chair after meeting Abby Trotter, who was vested in bringing back the district PAC and with a small group of people had maintained the Overton Cluster PAC. My concerns when I talked to Abby were that families on my street were leaving once their children reached school age to head to Williamson County. Additionally, we have multiple families that have chosen to put their kids in private school. When I look at my current neighbors that have kids that are in the school district, we have students that go to 4 different elementary schools. I love the school of choice because it's a great option. Some of our parents can actually take their kids to a school that's close to their work, and then they can also choose a place that's good for their child. But I wanted to know why people weren't putting kids in our local school. And so I talked to them. And what I found out was that they were complaining about the test scores from the websites that you see, such as Great Schools. They were looking at the school ratings, and they were talking about safety. Parents were actually, I thought I was messing up. I only have 1 child. I better do it right the first time. So they were like putting their kids in elementary school. In kindergarten, they were like, where are you sending that kid to middle school? I'm like, what? I barely got here. So they were looking outward to see where are they going to put their kids so that they could get into the right high school, all right? She was 5. So, and then if they didn't get into the right middle school, they were looking to see what it was going to cost them to put their kids in private school at high school. And so I was looking, but why? What's wrong with these schools? Because in 2019, when I was having this conversation, Overton had $9.8 million of scholarships. They had students going to 67 different colleges, and 3 of those were Ivy League. I couldn't see what was wrong. So correct or not, though, perception is reality. And there's perception that MNPS schools aren't great. I want to make sure that the work that we're doing is portraying a reality that is accurate. You have a group of parents with the PAC that can be a great opportunity to share information and be champions for the district. We are here.
Thank you.
Parents are the largest group of people that you can have on your side, and I continue to welcome the opportunity to work with our parents, you guys as the district, as a PAC leader and continue to open the lines of communication. And thank you all.
Thank you. Lisa Kimbrough?
Hi,
Hi.
Lisa Kimbrough, 103 Wellington Park Court. I am a native Nashvilleian and a mother to a first grader and upcoming twin kindergartners. Out of respect for our school and the support team that works with my son, I would prefer to not disclose our elementary school. One of my twins is a transgender female. She started presenting signs of not conforming to her assigned male gender at birth when she was 2.5. Things progressed and she socially transitioned to female in the spring of 2020. We have always accepted her as she is, and we're proud of her courage to live the life she was meant to live. She loves to dance and sing and thinks she is the greatest at all activities, even if she isn't. She does not lack 1 ounce of self-confidence. My greatest wish for her is for this to never change. When planning for kindergarten, my husband and I met with the principal in January of 2020 to discuss what the school had in place to support our daughter, then still our gender nonconforming son. While the principal explained that Title IX would protect her, he did not offer any specific policies the school has in place or would consider putting in place to support her. He explained there had not been a known transgender student at this school during his tenure, and that a few years back there was one student, but they ended up leaving. This coupled with the fact that when I reached out to the school counselor in September of 2020, she put off meeting with me until the summer before school would start for her kindergarten. This did not make me feel like there would be a concerted effort around a comfortable environment for my daughter. Our elementary school is award-winning and a fabulous learning environment for the majority of children, but it should be supportive of the social and emotional needs of all children zoned to attend. I want to note that my first grader has ADHD and is currently being tested for the autism spectrum. I discovered this with private testing, and when the school learned of this, they immediately set up an intervention meeting and we felt supported. This demonstrated that the school is capable of meeting every child where they are if the need falls into an area they are comfortable with. I had hoped my twins could join my son at this school, as one of the reasons we moved to our home was for that school alone. But as my daughter transitioned, it became clear that was not an option. We have unfortunately not enrolled her in MNPS kindergarten. I now have some questions for you. Do MNPS school-based staff receive training on how best to support transgender students outside of the basics of Title IX, even at the elementary level? When you register your child for school, you provide a birth certificate. Is there a process for communicating to the school prior to the beginning of the school year that the student has a gender expression different than what their birth certificate says? You must make it widely known that LGBTQA+ students are welcome at all levels of MNPS schools. Elementary schools cannot look past this demographic. Many transgender children are aware of their difference between 2 and 5 years old. So by the time they enter kindergarten and throughout those elementary years, they should feel supported in who they want to be and able to focus on learning in school. It is imperative and urgent need that you develop a strategy to include these children in the every child known overarching goal. I do not feel like my student is known. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Kale?
Greetings, Dr. Battle, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Amanda Kale, and I'm the president of MNEA, as well as an MNPS teacher. I'm here today to commend you for creating a budget that does right by its employees. Specifically, I could not be happier that step increases have been placed in the continuity of operations budget, because this sends a very clear message that honoring teachers' years of experience is as important a calculation as the utility bills. It says that if we want every student known, then we are willing to honor the experience and commitment of the professionals necessary to make that possible. In the past several years that my fellow educators and our allies have been fighting for a fully funded school system, we have often had to explain why funding step raises is so important. We have repeated it again and again since the district abandoned the practice of annual step raises over a decade ago, that many educators have found their wages frozen, resulting in a net loss of lifetime earnings and shrinking retirements. Many students have repeatedly endured interrupted schooling for a semester or more by being taught by a substitute or being reshuffled into an overcrowded classroom because there were hundreds of vacancies that couldn't be filled. The cost of keeping wages low has been expensive in more ways than one. We also know that no one sitting in here controls the purse strings. Teachers are well aware of that our funding comes primarily from the metro government and the state. We know just because you ask doesn't mean you will receive, but we really won't receive if you don't ask. So it truly feels like a new day dawning, and I want to give a heartfelt thank you to this board, to Dr. Barnes and Dr. Battle for making employee compensation a #1 goal for funding in this current budget, for putting step raises where they belong in a non-negotiable category of continuity of operations. We can't change the past, but we can invest in the future. If we want the best and the brightest teaching our students, then we need to create a career path that the best and brightest will choose. And that means ensuring those step raises are guaranteed. So thank you. Thank you for not making us explain once again why step raises should never be optional. Thank you for listening, and most importantly, thank you for acting.
Thank you. S.C. Arthur? Leland Evans?
Leland Evans, 558 Cedar Drive. Good afternoon, Metro Nashville Public School Board of Education, MNPS, teachers, faculty, and staff, and Metro Nashville Public School community. My name is Leland Evans, and I'm a proud product, parent, and partner with MNPS. However, I stand before you today to voice my concerns about the need to make civic and political education a priority in public schools. Based on the Tennessee report card for MNPS, there are 85,569 students enrolled in public schools. 40% are African American. 28% are Hispanic. 68% of our public schools identify as students of color. While this is not about race, this is about representation and decision-making. Now, while the school board is a diverse group that reflects our public schools, we see that our funding comes from Metro City Council, and they are not. In fact, the inverse is true. 27% of Metro Council identify as people of color. To be more specific, 9 African Americans, 1 African immigrant, and 1 Hispanic. It is time that we start teaching our children how this system works so that they can be adequately equipped to run for offices and bring change to their communities. We can teach them math, but if we don't teach them about taxes, it still won't add up. We can teach them science, but if we don't teach them their civic duties, life will just be an experiment. We can teach them how to read and write, but if we don't teach them about legislation, they will continue to be illiterate to the system that controls everything around them. I will finish with this. My senior year, I had 1 semester of government class, and at the end of that semester, we took a field trip. But we didn't go downtown. We didn't go meet our elected officials. We didn't go see the state capitol. We didn't go see city council. We took a field trip to the maximum security prison. As an adult, I reflect back on that, and it makes me believe that the people making decisions already know where they believe public school students are headed. I ask you today to make sure that you make civic and political education a priority in our public schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Sabrina Moyudin?
Good evening, Chair, board members, and Dr. Battle. My name is Sabrina Moyudin, and I live on 81 Ravenwood Hill Circle in Nashville. I serve on NOAA's, or the Nashville Organized for Action and Hope's Education Task Force, and I am also the Executive Director of the American Muslim Advisory Council. I would like to thank the many board members who have met with NOAA members, sharing time, interests, and information. NOAA's primary concern this year, which is a mutual concern of MNPS, is that we need mental health and social-emotional supports for kids and youth after this difficult and disruptive year. NOAA believes that it is critical to support kids and reduce racial disparities in discipline, because although we don't know everything, we do know that even though suspensions are down, Racial disparities still exist. While about 44% of elementary school population is little black boys and girls, those same babies account for a disproportionate amount of suspensions and expulsions. We also know that multiple studies prove that children who are suspended and expelled from school are much more likely to end up in prison. Thus, NOAA is asking for funding for advocacy centers with the specialists in every elementary school. We are asking for funding for restorative practice assistants in every middle and high school. And last, we are asking for funding for professional development in Tier 1 training for all staff. In this budget, you have asked for what MNPS needs for our students, including the necessary SEL resources to support our principals and teachers, and most importantly, to help keep all of our young people in school and learning how to manage their behavior and become the best young person that they can be. If the budget is not fully funded by the mayor and the city council, we want you to prioritize the social emotional well-being initiatives. We want you to not allow social emotional programs to be cut again, even if you don't get the funding from the city. Thank you.
Thank you. May Christensen?
Good evening. My name is May Christensen. I live at 604 Highland View Drive in Hermitage. I'm here tonight to ask for your support. The anti-LGBTQ bills being pushed through the Tennessee General Assembly will result in harm for youth in MNPS. And our school board is one of the last lines of defense between our precious students and state-sanctioned erasure. I know teachers will continue to be brave for our students and do everything we can to protect them, but I ask that you use your power to affirm us as we fight to affirm and protect our students. As my colleagues have and will state eloquently tonight, this slate of bills will result in alienation and despair for this already vulnerable group of students in a myriad of ways. I could use my testimony to describe each bill and how exactly it will lead to harm for my students. However, I think it will be useful to frame this issue in its larger social context. As a sociology teacher, I tell my students from day one that our job is not to decide what is right or wrong with our society and culture. We consider how the interaction of diverse groups of people contribute to the diversity of beliefs and behaviors in our larger culture. We do not debate the existence of groups of people or their right to exist, because they exist whether or not we believe that they do. What our representatives in the Tennessee General Assembly are doing this month is attempting to debate the right of a group of people to exist. They're using arguments about what is right or wrong to criminalize LGBTQ students and bar teachers from affirming those identities. They are creating policies restricting the freedoms of youth in our state to be themselves, citing that families should have the right to insist that their heterosexual and cisgender children should feel comfortable in the school environment, ostensibly by never interacting with beliefs or people that are at odds with their own. The problem with this line of thinking is that the truth about our society does not change based on what we think is right or wrong. Believing something shouldn't exist in the way that it does has absolutely no effect on whether it actually exists in our society. Our level of comfort has nothing to do with whether something is true. And regardless, we should not be prioritizing one student's comfort over another student's very existence. The truth remains the truth, regardless of our beliefs. Trans people and our students in MNPS are the truth. They exist. They have existed since history began, and they will continue to exist whether or not these laws go into effect. That means that our choice isn't whether we agree that it's okay or right to be LGBTQ. Our choice is whether or not we're going to stand by as our state representatives seek to deny the truth. The passage of these bills will have no effect on whether or not these wonderful students exist. It will, however, have an enormous impact on the extent to which these students feel supported in our schools and in our larger society. In short, it will be the difference in whether a student themselves believe they have the right to exist. I hope I can count on you to support the right of every student in MNPS to exist in our communities as their full selves. Their lives literally depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Casey Norton?
Hello, my name is Cassie Norton. I live on Airwood Drive in 37214. And I'm coming before you tonight because I'm worried on behalf of LGBTQ students and teachers in our district. There are a host of anti-LGBTQ bills coming down from our state legislature this year. These bills, should they pass, will directly cause emotional, psychological, and even physical harm to our LGBTQ students and teachers. HB 1535/SB 659 will stop us from using any supplemental materials unless the state board approves of them. And that body is not made up of educators and has proven through past policies not to have the best interests of marginalized students as its priority. HB 800/SSB 1216 will go a step further and ban any textbooks or instructional materials that approve, promote, support, or even address LGBTQ issues and lifestyles. As a history teacher, I am especially horrified by the combination of these bills. Our students deserve to hear the true history of our country, from the trans soldiers who fought in our Civil War to the fact that Bayard Rustin, planner of the famous March on Washington, was an openly gay man, and to the relationship between LGBTQ rights movements and other liberation movements. LGBTQ students deserve to see themselves in the history we learn and in the stories we read and hear. It's incredibly important to student well-being and self-esteem to hear and see stories of people like yourself. There are also studies that show benefits for cis straight students who are more empathetic and likely to stand up against bullying when they are taught LGBTQ history and stories. And this leads me to HB 529/SB 1229, which would allow parents to opt their students out of any materials related to gender or sexuality. This would lead to further stigmatizing those identities and experiences, which just causes more fear and misunderstanding and unfounded hatred. And finally, HB 1233/SB 1367 would forbid us from making accommodations to keep our trans students safe. This would directly put trans students in harm's way and expose them to further bullying or violence, in addition to affecting their mental health. Inclusive curriculum and safe classrooms are important for all of our students, but I'm especially afraid of the effect this will have on our vulnerable LGBTQ students and teachers. Can teachers like me and my LGBTQ coworkers and friends be targeted by homophobic parents if these laws pass? Can our students be targeted for even more bullying and marginalization? We have a duty to stand up for our students. Our district has done a lot to support LGBTQ students, from adopting culturally responsive pedagogy in many classrooms to better understanding the fact that our LGBTQ students face higher rates of bullying, harassment, and depression, to creating so many amazing gender sexuality alliance clubs across the district. What I'm here asking is this: what will our district do to keep protecting LGBTQ students and teachers if the state legislature continues these attacks? What will our district do to stand up for gay and trans kids who need us? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Laura Leonard?
Hi, good evening. I'm Laura Leonard. I live at 142 Brenda Lane, Antioch, Tennessee. And I'm here to thank you for what you have done so far with the budget in terms of correcting teacher salaries. I'm thrilled about it. I cannot wait to go back and tell my colleagues all about it, because they ask me every day, are we getting a raise? Are we getting a raise? Are we getting a raise? So now I finally have some good news to tell them. But I'm also here to let you know what I think you already know, that the work is not yet done. We really do need to work on fixing the salary scale and raising salaries so that we can be comfortable living in Nashville where we work. So I look forward to working with you to fix the salary scale and to raise salaries. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Janet Smith?
Good evening, Dr. Battle and board. My name is Janet Smith, and I am a current teacher in Metro. I come tonight to speak on the topic of funding teacher pay. I fully admit that I come for selfish reasons. In the past, the board has focused on boosting the pay of early and mid-career teachers, but I feel have forgotten those of us, the later career teachers, who have supported the district and served its students in the budget years of thin and thinner. As a teacher gains experience and their value to the district increases, so should their compensation. I understand that there may be a need to top out steps, but that should not mean that experienced teachers do not deserve or need periodic adjustments. All I ask is that as you consider funding step increases for early to mid-year teachers, that you not forget those experienced teachers who have topped out. They are equally deserving of the same consideration for increased compensation. And I thank you for your consideration and support of longevity pay.
Thank you. Kellyanne Graf? Or Zoe Butler?
I'm Kellyanne. Hi, I'm Kellyanne Graf. I live on Glen Rose Circle in 37210, and I'm an ELA teacher in Antioch. So I'm here asking you to stand against HB 800, which would, let me get my language up. I'm sure you've heard it 100 times tonight. Now my phone's not working. But which would potentially criminalize instructional materials or supplemental instructional materials that promote, normalize, support, or address lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender issues or lifestyles. I'm concerned about this bill because I'm concerned that how I identify, who I am as a person and who I am married to, saying that in a classroom could be considered promoting or normalizing a lifestyle. It could be considered instructional material if a student has never heard a term before. This happens constantly in my classroom. I've had students say the F word as an insult to another student, and I have to pull them out of class, and they're like, that's not a curse word. I'm like, do you know what it means? That's an instructional moment where I'm teaching the history of this word and how harmful this is, and how harmful it is to me as their teacher to hear it, not only for their other students, their peers to hear this as well. I'm worried because anti-LGBTQ plus bullying is very prevalent in our schools for straight and non-straight students, where gay and the F word are slinged as insults against students indiscriminately. I'm worried that we as teachers will not have the resources or the support to stand up against this. This hurts all of our students, but it doubly hurts our LGBTQ students because not only are they attacked, but they also hear their identity used against others and leveraged to harm others. So also, as an ELA teacher, I see that this bill will erase writers and texts, many of which are already in our curriculum, in our scope and sequence. So like Edward Albee, James Baldwin, Audre Lorde, Dorothy Allison, W.H. Auden, Elizabeth Bishop, Mary Oliver, Kason Calendar, Akweke Emezi, County Colon, classics, as well as some of the most vigorous and engaging texts being written today. We would not be able to teach them, or at least not teach them in the fullest way in our classroom. If this bill passes, in order to avoid, quote, promoting, normalizing, or supporting, or even addressing non-heterosexual identities in the classroom, to address them in any way, the only option we have with this language is to address it in a negative way. So either we have a full erasure or negativity. And I'm worried that that is more biased and more harmful for our students than normalizing and addressing it as neutral. Thank you.
Thank you. And Zoe Butler.
Hi, I'm Zoe Butler. I live in 37206, and I'm a 9th grade math teacher at McGavick High School. I'm here today to also talk about the anti-trans bills in the House, specifically HB 1535, which talks about no supplementary materials unless the Board of Ed has already agreed upon it. HB 800, which is no discussion of LGBTQ plus lifestyles. HB 529, that parents or guardians have to review materials or be notified about materials if they pertain to LGBTQ plus lifestyles. And also HB 1233 about shared spaces and whether or not transphobic students would have rights to not share spaces with trans students, etc. So I think my main points are to give you my recommendations for how you as a school board can move forward and work with the city, and also just to reiterate your duty as legislators to help and protect our trans students. So I wanted to remind you of the 2020 Supreme Court case, Bostock versus Clayton County, Georgia. That applied to employees and whether or not they could be fired for being LGBTQ+. But the majority opinion also outlines that gender identity is equivalent to gender in the eyes of the law. So therefore, any laws that discriminate on the basis of gender are also discriminating if it's also discriminating on the basis of gender identity, which violates the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause, Title VII, and Title IX. I also wanted to remind you, as I'm sure many of you know, that anti-trans ideology comes from certain interpretations of religious texts, and that it's your duty as legislators to do everything you can to uphold the division between church and state. So my recommendations for you are to work with the city government to try to block this bill from becoming a law, and leveraging your power as community influencers to rally public support, and also to codify that harassment and bullying against LGBTQ, against gender identity. I know that in the bullying and harassment documents and memos, you've outlined gender and sexual orientation, but I wanted to reiterate that gender identity should also be codified as something that is, we cannot discriminate against. And also to urge schools to create curricula that involve LGBTQ evidence-based in biology and social studies. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that concludes our period of public participation. But before we move on, I would like to wish our Muslim neighbors a happy Ramadan. Please remember to be as gracious with your neighbors as possible. If you're not as knowledgeable about Ramadan, feel free to Google it. So with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any amendments before we move on? All right, do I have a motion to pass?
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Claire Peters has seconded. Dr. Gentry has motioned. All in favor? And that's unanimous. All right, we will have some, a resolution regarding the fiscal year budget. I believe Mrs. Claire Peters will lead us through that, but we'll also have a quick committee update after or during reports. All right, go ahead, Mrs. Claire Peters.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve hold up. I'm double masked here. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution regarding the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget for the Metropolitan Schools.
A second.
It passed through committee. It was a unanimous vote during the budget committee. I would just personally like to thank Dr. Battle and Mr. Prince Henson for their work in presenting the focused investment and priorities for the school. As we heard many of the teachers speak, that employee compensation was our #1 priority. We discussed this at the board agenda, improve our budget priorities back in January, and Dr. Battle and our staff were able to focus and relate these to the core values and the core tenets, and really to show where our values and where we like to put our resources. I will read the resolution just for the record. Whereas the Director of Schools is charged in creating a budget for effective and efficient operations of schools, and whereas the budget is aligned with the priorities articulated by the Board of Education, whereas the proposed budget is presented to the mayor for consideration, inclusion of the overall budget of Metropolitan Nashville Davidson County, and whereas the council considers the budget proposed by the mayor and appropriates resources to fund the Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools, and whereas the Board of Education annually approves the budget of the operations of schools, Therefore, let it be resolved that Metropolitan Nashville Board of Education supports and accepts the 2021-2022 focus investments presented by Director of Schools and the recommendation of the budget priorities for the 2022 fiscal year. Furthermore, that the Metropolitan Nashville Board of Education recognize the crucial need to fully fund the continuity of service and to maintain the same level of education for services to our students as the baseline budget for the current year.
All right, you said it's ready for a vote? All right, we don't need Dr. Severe. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, it passes unanimously. This budget document is on the website. Feel free to follow along on our journey as we go to kind of advocate to the city, advocate to the mayor for as much funding as possible. With that, we'll move on to director's report. And again, we'll have committee updates from the board retreat. If you had a committee meeting, please just...
We still have to do nutritional and...
I'm so sorry. So I always forget that our budget is broken up into different smaller budgets. So we have a nutrition and foods budget. We also have a federal programs and grant budget. Please take it away, Mrs. Player-Peters.
All right, so I make a motion to approve fiscal year 2021-22 nutritional funds budget with the total expenditure of $47,436,000. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, did you have anything, Mrs. Tyler? Unanimous? All right, we'll move on to the recommended approval of federal programs and grants fund budget.
Okay, and I make a motion to approve fiscal year 2021-2022 strategic investments, federal programs and grants fund for a total projected amount of $323,133,444.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? It is yet again unanimous. Now we will move on to reports. Dr. Battle, and then committee chairs from the board retreat.
All right, good evening, board members. I want to say that I appreciated the great discussion we had last Friday at our board retreat, and I look forward to continuing our collective work to reach our North Star of making MNPS the premier large school district in Tennessee and beyond. As we move to the next slide, I just wanted to highlight briefly that our risk score remains steady at about 4.5 out of 10. COVID-19 is still spreading in our community, but it has remained at a relatively flat pace, which is evidenced by the transmission rate at about 1. In our schools, we've seen an increase this week in the number of students being quarantined. Now, keep in mind, these are for all schools. For comparison, back in November, when it was just elementary and special day schools, we had 214 staff quarantined or isolated in a week, and 770 students quarantined or isolated. So the numbers are relatively stable compared to last year, and we've seen a significant decrease in staff testing positive and having to be quarantined, thanks in part to the vaccine being available to everyone. We still encourage all staff to get the vaccine, available through our partnership at Vanderbilt or one of our many other community locations. Some of our students are now able to receive the vaccine in Davidson County as well. And we're working on plans and around options to have an MNPS student-specific vaccination rollout soon. There have been some challenges in getting staff into schools due to delays in the background check process. But we have been continuing to sign families up and increase testing at schools in order to ensure a safer learning and working environment. We've had about 9,400 students and staff sign consent forms so far, with testing conducted at schools with nearly 2,500 tests performed between March 22nd and April 9th. Meharry is going to be ramping up testing at our schools as we move into the final stretch of the school year, as we've seen some COVID-19 surges in other parts of the country. Anecdotally, I'll say that at one school, we had several cases reported of staff or students who had tested positive through outside testing. Because of our partnership with Meharry, we were able to rapidly deploy them to the school to perform rapid testing so that we could see that there wasn't a cluster at risk of shutting down the school, and we could minimize the impact on student learning. knock on wood, but I'm proud that because of the decisions we've made in safety and contact tracing, we have been able to avoid some of the disruptive school closures that other districts have experienced. For those who haven't signed up yet to participate in the testing program, you can go to backsafely.org to register. I also want to remind families that registration for our Promising Scholars Summer Program, our summer learning experience, is now open through May 5th. So far, 6,336 students were signed up as of yesterday, and 2,250 staff had applied for positions within the schools. Again, we anticipate being able to serve all MNPS students who are interested in participating this summer and providing enriching learning experiences for all students to continue their learning progress. I do want to point out that while the 40,000 number has been thrown around because the district is required by state law to offer at least this many kids the opportunity, if we have this level of participation at more than 6,300 students, it would still be the largest we've ever seen for a summer learning program in MNPS. We will continue to push out the word about this and urge all families to consider this option to give students the chance to continue engaging and learning in the face-to-face learning environment after a very unique year due to the pandemic. Now, at this time, I would like to welcome up Ashford Hughes, our Executive Officer of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. He is going to be discussing the important work being done to develop our equity roadmap, to put in place the necessary framework to ensure that we are providing an equitable education and creating an equitable workplace for all students and all staff that we serve. So at this time, I will turn it over to Ashford Hughes.
Thank you, Dr. Battle. Good evening, board chair. Good evening, board members. I am really excited to be here with you this evening to discuss a topic that is really important to this district. It really excites me to do this work as we're all talking about equity and what it looks like. I really want to level set to make certain that we know that this is just the starting point. We have a long way to go, and equity is ever changing as we look at the concepts, the needs, the concerns of our students. So this is just the starting point and an update to where we are now in my first months here working with this great team, but hopefully setting a vision for where we can be. I really want to start off and assess what I bring into this work because it's really important that you know that. I come into this work as a father of 2 young boys, one that's in the 2nd grade in an MNPS school, as a mentor of young men for over 10 years, as an uncle, as a practitioner in this equity work before it was called equity work, and doing the work in the business of the community, but also as a member of a community that has also saw hardship. I'm from Knoxville, and we saw what happened at Austin East. I live within 5 minutes driving of Austin East. I grew up with a lot of kids in that community, so I know and have lived experience of what equity and inequities look like within our school system and without. That is why this is important to me and within our community, because it is a community project, a community undergird. This is why we must get this right. So what is our current state right now in Metro Nashville Public Schools? For too many of our students, the predictability of success or failure in public education has correlated with race, class, disability, ethnicity, and/or zip code. Systematic inequities have led to the lack of opportunities to maximize a student's full academic and their full social potential. Whether it have been our tornadoes, the recent floods, other weather disasters within our city, and COVID-19, the inequities across our community and within our school district have been amplified. Our parents, our students are seeing all type of things taking place nationally that is affecting them socially, that is affecting their families financially, that is taking a toll on their mental health. And we know that. Many of our students are asking for better. They're asking for how they can be more connected, not only with their peers, but with the world around them. These are some of the issues that we are facing in school. Many of you know these issues. These are just to point out a few. The disproportionality in discipline, the disproportionality in students being prepared to read and master at grade level, disproportionality along the lines of numeracy and kids being ready, lower graduation rates by race, ethnicity, language, and other barriers. We can also talk about the access to advanced academic courses as well. These are the issues that many of our students are facing. But I always like to go to what are the solutions to the problems? Our solutions, the mantra that I work with every day in our team on and in my team and this team behind me, is that we fix injustice, not fix kids. We know that right now, our children are facing a lot of challenges, but it's not up to us to always only work on the families that are at or below the margins in those children. We need to fix the injustices that they come into school with. Our equity roadmap, this equity framing, will be foundational to establishing the new norms that we create coming out of COVID-19. Equity is far more than a state of being an abstract ideal. Rather, it is an operational principle that enables educators to provide whatever level of support is needed to whichever student requires it. I like to always quote this from Paul Gorski, an educator and founder of the Equity Literacy Institute. Equity is neither optional nor negotiable. This is who we are as a school district. These are the values by which we will be held accountable. Our equity roadmap is a guide. It is not a how-to manual. It is a call to action to accelerate the equity work that is already taking place within this district, and I will touch base on that a little bit later. I also want to talk about, this is not just Ashford's equity roadmap. This is a framing and a roadmap based on the science, the social science, based on the research, current research, past research, but most importantly on the lived experience from our teachers, from our families, and from our students. I want to just provide a couple of the institutions and the learnings that are helping me and my team and this team I work with on a day-to-day basis develop a strong, sustainable equity roadmap. We look at all and many of our neighboring school districts that are utilizing and implementing an equity roadmap. We have many within the southern region, but many of our states within the Midwest that have been doing this equity journey work for much longer. We look at institutions that many of you have talked about as well, the Harvard Graduate School of Public Education, the Council of Great City Schools, Vanderbilt Peabody College of Education, their Human Development and Counseling Initiative, also the Race Research and Justice Initiative as well, the National Equity Project and the Annie Casey Foundation. But what excites me the most about the research, the science that we're utilizing, is the boots on the ground work in speaking with teachers, speaking with principals, community members, families, and importantly, students. That is the work of the listening as we compile where we hope to be the vision around our equity journey. Our why, vitally important, our why. It is our shared responsibility to ensure every student in every Nashville neighborhood and community has access to a high-quality education institution. Our why is that for 13 years, we have students in our building, and we create the individual that will go out and lead our community. That is our why. Our what? To achieve equitable outcomes, we must institutionalize shared language, tools, and measures of accountability for supporting our students and communities. This helps us get to that personalized learning experience where every student has what they need to be successful. Our how. Our equity roadmap, as I said, will be a continuous journey that we must impart upon with each other to create meaningful and impactful change. This is where we adopt an equity lens, the framing by which we see things differently, we question things differently. And we establish an equity framing by which we align our strategies to meet that central goal. Students, every student known, every student meeting the standard, every student meeting success. I go back to the slide focused on our core tenets. our 4 core tenets. These are the values. These are our beliefs that we say are non-negotiable within our district. These are the values and beliefs that we wake up every day and say, we are going to meet this standard, this expectation for our students. This is what equity is about. Equity is embedded in all of these core tenets and all of the work that we do. Equity is not the initiative where you go and talk to Ashford and Ashford does this one thing. It's embedded across departments. It's embedded across within the busing. It's embedded across everything that we do. But equity is not waiting for Ashford to complete this roadmap. Equity has been in place since I started in July. Equity was when we established an equity matrix for how we would distribute tablets and devices to students that had the most need. Equity is the virtual help centers that was constructed by Dr. Springer because students and families, our English learning language families said we need help and support. Equity was by the Navigator program where Dr. Battle stated, every student will be known and we will find a way to connect with them on a one-to-one basis. One of the most important elements to me where equity already began was in the literacy reimagined process. To me, literacy literally is the equity imperative of our day, of our district. I cannot say that enough as a person, and I'm gonna personalize this. In elementary school, middle school, and high school, but most importantly, my earlier years, I had a massive stutter. The will to read, teachers helping me learn to write, and then take oratorical contests, and the literacy helped me become not afraid to speak in front of audiences like you today, but to help better myself and now champion literacy for kids moving forward. The equity work is taking place now. It is not waiting for Ashford. So let's look at our roadmap. Our roadmap is a lens, an equity lens by which we see the work differently. To become a more equitable school district, we must adopt a new way of understanding the work of equity. Shifting from a historical lens that upholds structural inequities to an equity lens that creates just access and opportunities for all requires a theory of change for reimagining what our district could look like. We have heard often about right now, we are in the process of reimagining what our district is in several phases. This is an important phase of looking through an equity lens. By utilizing this lens, we are able to now view the invisible structures, policies, and behaviors that sustain unequal outcomes and interpret the ways of working that serve, implicitly or explicitly, to perpetuate the opportunity gaps that we see across many of our school communities. It's important to note the dimensions of what this equity lens looks like, because this is how we think and act in service of our number one focus, our students. Exploratory thinking, also we call it liberatory thinking. This is reimagining one's own assumptions and beliefs about others and their capabilities by interrupting internal beliefs that undermine productive relationships. It's important in this equity work that we center the work. We have to be centered in the work to make this happen. Everybody has to see what their role is in being successful in this. Inclusive partnerships. Inclusive partnerships bring together and engage diverse individuals from educational institutions, community caregivers, to collectively create solutions. You will hear from here on out me talking about co-creation, 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 partnerships, because that's what sustainability looks like. Resource equity. Resource equity means consistently prioritizing and allocating time, money to align with the level of need from our students and our teachers. Fair policies and practices. These are systems that promote equitable opportunities to reach equal, positive academic and social, emotional outcomes for our students. This is the lens by which we look at how decisions are made, by how we assess the positive or negative outcomes from decisions. But this does take a shift in ideological, a commitment to change. Our roadmap will be assessed by some guiding questions. I wanted to share a few. I'll just read 2 or 3 of them. This grounds us in the work. The team knows that I ask questions often. In senior cabinet, every meeting I'm in, I'm a question asker. Not just to ask questions, but I want to see how we're thinking. Am I thinking right? Am I asking the correct questions to get to the root cause of a situation? So some of our guiding questions. How can we increase transparency and engagement, resulting in better, sustainable outcomes and productive relationships? What is currently taking place? What are the inequities that we actually are trying to seek? What gets measured gets done. Where in our current system is there an opening for momentum or demand for action that will have a meaningful impact on student experience and learning outcomes? You know, those are questions we see right now. As I've been at Jerry Baxter and at Maplewood working with young kids, mentoring, there is a call to action for our young people need mentors. Our communities want to hear and see equity. You heard from people today about our LGBTQ members yearning for just access. That is where we are. These are the guiding questions. So what is equity? The $1 million question. Everybody is talking equity. Equity, you show it up everywhere. It's on every TV show now. It's the buzz of the buzz of the buzzwords. So what do we mean by equity? I like to have this visual because there has to be a distinct difference known. Many times when we talk about equity, people are talking about equality. Equality is about sameness. Equity is about justice and getting what you need to accomplish what you need to accomplish. I want to give another visual that someone helped me see. Equality states that every student coming into MNPS will get a pair of shoes. Equity states that every student coming into MNPS will get a pair of shoes that fits their feet, that meets their size. Equity is about individualizing the experience. This is what we've worked with to date, to identify and to collaborate on what educational equity looks like and what it means. And I'm gonna read this from the screen because I think it's important that we look this over. Equity, educational equity makes certain that each student receives what they need, when they need it, to develop to their full academic and social potential, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, disability, ethnicity, language, religion, family background, or family income. Equity focuses on justice. So let me be clear, equity is about all students. Equity is about all students. But there is an important element of equity that we cannot hide from. Again, I fall back on the social science. I fall back to the data. I fall back to the lived experience. And that's the element of racial equity. Racial equity ensures that every student will have just opportunities to reach their full potential and are no more likely to encounter life's burdens or benefits just based on the color of their skin. It is important to note, and let's be clear, racial equity is not a zero-sum game. When we address the needs of some to lift boats, we are not doing it a detriment to others. Everybody, all means all. All means all, and that is what we're talking about. Equity is not a guarantee that all students will succeed. Rather, it assures all students will have the opportunity and support to succeed. A clear distinction that we need to keep mindful of. The essence of education equity is that each of us must develop the necessary skills to treat the collective of diverse people around us with the same degree of hope, aspiration, and positive expectation that we afford ourselves. So how do we achieve this equity? I look at it across the lines of what does our personal equity look like? Professional equity, institutional equity. These are levers that we must push upon. Personal equity guides, again, that centering of how we show up, how we uncover our own biases, our own privileges and stereotypes, and how that interacts with each other and how we interact with students. Professional equity. How do we successfully implement practices that can help and assure individualized support for our students? Institutional equity. This is where systematic change comes in. Explores how schools and school systems can overcome institutionalized factors that limit student achievement. These are the levers when we think about what do we need to be pushing to get towards equity. The framework. I'm most excited about the framework. This is where, and you'll hear me say this often again, you hear our team say this often, where we move from theory and concept to day-to-day actions, and what that looks like from our support hub to our departments on down to the day-to-day classroom. Culture, practice, and leadership, that triangle, in the middle of that triangle is where equity lives. Each of these three core tenets have to be focused upon. They have to be worked on with the same sense of urgency if we're going to create the relationships, the relevancy, the expectation, and the rigor to meet equity where it is, right there in the center. The success of equity depends on the school and the system's ability to create an effective framework that guides all decisions, practices, and policies accordingly. A strong and sustainable framework organizes and ties all of our initiatives and strategies to the singular goal, to our singular focus, student supports and student success. By applying a framework to equity, a school addresses its context, builds understanding of the students, and creates powerful learning culture that guides an effective implementation of not just best practices, but best outcomes. So when we look at this triangular approach to the framework, we talk about culture. These strategies are the strategies that build culture, focus on learning culture of the school and on the cultural competency of its educators. Why does this matter? We all know that culture starts the tone. Whenever you walk into a building, a school building, whenever you walk into our support hub, you can tell what the culture is. Culture dictates the expectations. Culture is vitally important to creating the new norms that we want to take place. Practice. Practice are the strategies that focus on what teachers do every day in the classroom and how these things impact student achievement. I go back to the initiative that I'm most excited about, literacy. What do those practices and strategies look like to help our students to be able to read? If our practices and strategies aren't aligned, if they aren't backed by the data and the research, kids will be in our school buildings for 13 years, just aimlessly being in our buildings, but not fully participating in a learning environment. Leadership. These are strategies that address district, principal, and teacher leadership needs, the vision, the direction, the sustainable innovation, and the driving accountability. I hear that word accountability all the time, right? So that's important. But accountability is along the lines of a continuum. That's what this framework helps. We talk about making sure that we're clear with what we're asking. Is it in alignment with the goals and the direction of meeting those student needs? Do we have inspection and analyzation of what's going on? Do we continuously give feedback on both ends to better both people in the process? And what about the coaching and support? That is why all three of these must work together. So as I look at culture and I look at this triangle, I think, what are the personal strategies that we will be aligning to make sure we build a great culture? What are the professional strategies that we're building? What are the institutional strategies that we're building to create this great culture? We can go down the same with practice and leadership. Personal, professional, institutional. What are those strategies to address these things? These are based, again, on the science, the data, and the lived experience. And I'm going to always keep going back to that. So how do we get there? I talk about a theory of action, of change and action, because we need both. We need change, but we also need action. What do we believe is required to shift MNPS from the current system that often maintains historic inequities across student groups to a system that creates opportunity by eliminating barriers and removes the predictability of academic success and social failure. If we reimagine the system, if we communicate transparently, if we create a sense of belonging for our students and our educators, if we develop inclusive, culturally responsive leaders, and if we face the reality of the challenges and the opportunities that we have, then we establish a more cohesive and equitable education ecosystem in which every student feels a sense of belonging. Every student feels like they have a personal opportunity to be successful. Every student known. What I shared next is what I call our core domains of transformation. These are the areas of focus that we say, if we align our strategies around these 5 core areas of focus, if we work day in and day out to personalize this work to get better, to meet our students' needs, these are the 5 core areas that we'll see change and support from. What you'll see on the slides coming up is that underneath our core domains are specific commitments. And through those commitments, we have strategies that align to get there. I'll share just a few on the next slide, but I want to call off our core domains. Culturally responsive teaching and learning, school-wide systems and institutionalized structures, family, caregiver, and community partnerships, district policy, practices, and procedures, support hub, also central office, commitment to racial education equity. Culturally responsive teaching and learning. One of the commitments we have under there is to ensure that each school has a culturally responsive curriculum that embraces equity in classroom instruction. I continue, this is like my infomercial for Dr. Bellamy. The literacy process that we have is so vitally important in moving this forward. Again, if a student is not able to read from the onset throughout his days, the rest of the equity work is just out there. We have to get the instruction and the reading right off the top. School-wide systems and institutionalized structures. Systematic use of a broad range of disaggregated quantitative and qualitative data to enhance equitable opportunity, experience, and success. Having the data is one thing. If we don't use the data to move the way in which we act, if we don't humanize the data to put the Jimmy and Johns behind the decimal points, then we just have data that is there that you already have known for the past 10, 15, 20 years. Family, caregiver, and community partnerships. Families and school staff work in an authentic partnership to develop and advance a shared definition of student success. This is another great initiative that I love working with Dr. Springer's team on around how do we create and enhance family engagement. That is what I consider one of my largest, I consider the Holy Trinity. Families, teachers, and students working together to create the necessary change needed, to create the space to be successful. District policy, practices, and procedures. Policies and resource allocations that promote the development of school environments. This also speaks to our vendor diversity. And what does that look like as we talk about equity, not just in the school building, but how do we showcase equity in everything that we do in Metro Public Schools? Our support hub commitment to racial education equity. A clear, ambitious vision and cohesive narrative for what achieving an institutionalized district-wide racial equity looks like. Again, to be clear, racial equity is not a zero-sum game. All means all. We rise boats for all kids. So what are our goals in this process? We have an overarching goal to create the institutionalized conditions by which 100% of our students are engaged in personalized learning, so they can meet their expectations and be graduation, college, and life ready. By life ready, I mean after 13 years of being in our buildings, when they walk out of here, they are fully able to articulate their needs, fully able to articulate and be a part of our civic process, fully able to engage and go out and get a living wage job to take care of themselves and their families. That is what I mean by us being life ready. We have some supporting goals to get to the overarching goal. Narrow and eliminate opportunity gaps across what we already know is being measured and looking at what else do we need to measure qualitatively, quantitatively to get to what we need. And one of the most, I just can't be more excited enough about this as I'm working with leaders on this as well, to create and adopt a toolkit of guiding resources for district and classroom leaders to incorporate concepts and theories into day-to-day actions. We're working right now to implement, what does it look like to create a framework for student voice? What does that look like across every school, in every classroom, from the district on down? How do we create that family engagement toolkit? All of these things are vitally important to support our educators, to support our families, and to support our students. Our outcomes. When we do all of this right, when we collectively meet each other on this journey, we will look and find intellectual curiosity and strong academic skills. Many of our outcomes are going to affect both our students, our educators, and our families. We look to identify an outcome of self-love, self-acceptance, self-determination, and pride in one's multiple identities, and an empathy for and meaningful connections with others. Vitally important as we talk about the social and emotional needs of students, the social emotional needs of teachers and their families. So what are our next steps? Again, I talk about this is just the start of an ongoing process. We never truly get to where we say, we got it, equity is over, we're done, we got the concrete strategies, we don't have to do anymore. It's forever a revolving process. But we begin now, we've begun. So the listening tour, the first thing that I came in and started to work with my team on is how do we not dig into the work? How do we listen? How do we talk to those in the district to know what's going on, to gather better insights? In a partnership now with Pencil and Deloitte, we'll be doing more of that over the next couple of months to really dig deep and hear from more teachers, more of our family members, and more of our students about what does equity mean for you? What does it look like? How does it show up in the classroom for you? How can we as a support hub be supportive to you meeting those needs? Communications plan. This is probably the second thing the team knows I talk about all the time. How are we communicating what we're trying to do? Where are we trying to communicate it at? Across which platforms? We will work to devise a plan so that everybody knows, from the teachers, the families, early on in the co-creative process, about what we're trying to do. Again, our why, our how, our what, and our how. Data and assessment scope. We will continue to work with Dr. Changas and his team to really develop what that looks like, what that assessment of, are these policies, practices, is this strategy actually working? We don't have it right now where I can say definitively this is where we are. This is what our data scope will look like. You all know the normal things that we measure, but we are looking to make certain that we have that visible. Dr. Changas and his team are working on the data dashboard. We will partner with that to make certain that we understand what we are measuring and seeking to measure as we address equity within our district. And finally, an implementation timeline. We know that the implementation of any process is vitally important. And equity is just as much about a process as it is about an outcome. The implementation process is going to be key to make certain that we have everybody rowing in the same direction. We all understand where we are in this journey together. That will be something, but the next time you see me here before you, we will have worked that out collaboratively with different people across the district. Every student known, every day, whatever it takes. Every student known, every day, whatever it takes. This is the energy, this is the mantra that we have to bring every day around this equity work. The pursuit of equity will always require the creativity, dedication, and persistence of those who take on this challenge. It is a challenge. It will not be easy. We will go through bumps and bruises. But as my grandmother would say, baby, nothing worth having, nothing good worth having is going to come easy. And this is the work that I know we're ready for. This is an important journey to take based on our role in the human development of the young people of which we see every day for 13 years, right? But you ask yourself, what is different about this, right? We talk about equity all the time. What is fundamentally different? What are we going to do that's different now? I add or I offer a few things. This is where we adopt the equity lens upon how we look at decisions across everything, even board decisions. We utilize the framing of that focuses on personal equity, professional equity, and institutionalized equity across that framework of culture, practice, and leadership. And then the third thing, we implement. We implement. Personalized learning experiences plus culturally relevant instruction plus implementation equals actual equity for our students. Vitally important. So when I think about where we are in this equity journey as I close out, we're in phases. Right now, our phase one is to adopt our equity mindset. We're committing to understand that equity is a journey that requires collaborative commitments. We're collaborating, valuing and prioritizing inclusive communication. We're framing, fostering a culture that encourages self-reflection and new perspectives. Our phase two we'll drive our equity plan in phase two, where we nurture, provide social and emotional supports to students and staff, where we empathize, where we implement culturally responsive teaching practices, where we build by replacing institutional inequities with innovative supports, and where we challenge to ensure that all students are held to high expectation, whether you're in a school of innovation or whether you're at a top magnet school where everybody is coming to visit you and you're getting national press. We challenge everybody the same. Phase three, we expand our equity vision. We support, deliver ongoing professional learning opportunities. We listen, continuously soliciting feedback, and then we persist. We persist to drive positive change throughout this district through perseverance because our students demand it. Every student known, every day, whatever it takes. Thank you.
I'm just going to clap. I'm sorry.
All right, so we'll open the floor, board floor for any questions. Go right ahead, Ms. Tyler.
I have questions about both Promising Scholars and your fabulous presentation. So for the Promising Scholars, I saw that if you go to that summer.mnps.org, that's where you can find the application if people have not applied yet and want to. And it has the list of schools and the times on it. Where can we find the sites that have the childcare available so that the parents will know which sites have childcare available on it and which ones don't?
Carrie, Randolph, if you can come up to the podium, please. She is doing a lot of coordinating in this space. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. Great question. We just ran an RFP for those providers. It just wrapped up this week, so that information's forthcoming. We're trying to get it out as quickly as possible.
Okay, if that information doesn't come out before the due date?
It will.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that
it will.
It doesn't, that parents know what they're applying for and they know what support they'll have available.
It'll have an asterisk beside it, because contracts will come before you.
Okay.
I'll just share that.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then I just wanted to go to your thing. I just loved the framework of culture and practice and leadership together. I think that hits the nail on the head. Everything starts from the top, and then, what I think sometimes we look at the superintendent and sometimes we look at the teachers and we forget the principal in the middle. And I feel like that's the linchpin for creating that community within the individual schools and the support for the individual teachers, and also providing the gap and the bridge between the superintendent and the individual schools. And I just love that you guys are really focusing on that leadership position and that you're looking for PD for that. And so I just wanted to encourage you. I thought that was wonderful. And then also, I wanted to say, as you work with Dr. Changus, who has such amazing historical knowledge of MNPS. I mean, he is just known statewide for the great work that he does. I just want us to make sure that we have listed out what exactly we're measuring, and that we check to make sure that the tools we're using are actually measuring what it is that we want to measure. Because I think sometimes, especially with our assessments that we've been seeing over this past year, and historically in some cases as well, the tests, the assessments that are given statewide perhaps or in other areas are not giving us the kind of useful, available, immediate knowledge that we need to actually support our students in real time. So just want to encourage you to definitely look at that data, but make sure that we're not just giving a test for a test's sake, but that it actually measures what we want it to measure, and that we have clear parameters around what exactly we're looking for and how the test meets those needs to help us figure out how to make change. And I think that Dr. Changas is going to be really good for helping with that. And I just want to keep pushing that to make sure that we don't pile more on our teachers and more on our administrators, but that we give them what they need, the tools that they need without overburdening them. And the data is extremely important, and I'm glad that you recognize that. We just need to make sure it's data that's useful.
Absolutely.
Other questions? All right, we'll go Mr. Little, Ms. Bush, Mrs. Pupo-Walker.
One, wanted to say I felt like I was in a sermon. I haven't been to church since last February, and the whole time, if you have been to certain churches, I wanted to run around the boardroom.
You pass the hat around if you want.
But just incredible information, and really as a new board member, things that I wanted to see and hear that I felt from as I talked to parents and teachers. And so please let me know where I can be a champion, because again, like the whole presentation, I was just jumping for joy. I had to run and get my pen because it was everything that I was thinking about. You had already thought through and presented it in this presentation. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Mr. Hughes. How are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
You and I worked together in the Antioch community together. I know your passion. I know your drive. And I definitely appreciate this presentation because I know you and I know exactly what you set out to do. And when it comes to greatness, so great presentation. I want to talk about prison to pipeline. As you know, and I'm a huge testimony, and of course, I'm a true example of a boy mom. I have 5 boys, and black and brown boys, and we understand and we know the challenges that our black and brown boys are faced with now, even before COVID. And I'm sure Dr. Changas, I know he's probably thinking, why is my name keep being mentioning? He can agree possibly because I've been through many of his presentations that talked about data and how our boys are basically on the bottom of the tug and pull. So we need to figure out how we're going to get there. And I just encourage you to do more of a fast track method, just because we're such an we're in a position that we just can't wait that much longer. And I just want to get your feedback about that, because I do understand that if our black and brown boys don't have the support that they need, most fathers are not present, incarcerated, and they don't have that support that they truly need. Thankfully, prayerfully, that I've had that for my sons. So they're headed down the right path because they have their father in their lives. But we're trying to figure out, and I think I heard you say about community partners and things like that, so that we can kind of help bridge that gap. But we do understand that literacy is one of the biggest problems we have with our boys. And what happens with our boys when they don't know how to read or write? They get in trouble. They go to the streets. They go to those gangs that they feel that they can be a part of. And of course, unfortunately, incarceration, and unfortunately, sometimes we experience kids that are killed. So it's really important, like I just said, a fast track method measures need to happen quickly, because if not, we're going to continue to see these problems. Of course, we have a lot of injustice going on right now with our black men. So we need to try to figure out how to help mitigate these problems that we're having with literacy. I keep going back to literacy because that's the problem. When they feel like that they're not a part of, or they feel like they cannot do it, then they find other means that they get into that's not going to help set them up for success. So I just wanted to kind of hear from you about the Prison to Pipeline and how we can help be able to dive right in so that we can stop that type of process that's happening to our kids.
And I greatly, thank you for the question. The question is great and right on time. And I want to share a quick personal story before I answer that. So why that particularly is important to me. So again, I talked about me being from Knoxville, living 5 minutes from Austin East, right? So as I came to Tennessee State, my best friend was killed in Knoxville, 5 blocks from Austin East High School, from gun violence, right? I had another friend about a little bit later that summer get killed as well, right? So when you talk about lived experience, I kind of know innately what that is, right? And I came to Tennessee State University to be a business major, wanted to make a lot of money, but seeing that, being experienced with that, and a lot of other friends were going in and out of jail at that time, many of which are just now getting out. I wasn't always in a double-breasted suit with a tie on, speaking before this illustrious body. So I got in and changed my major to political science because I wanted to work to make certain that black men and young black women did not end up dead or in jail like my best friend, someone I spent from the time I was 10 to 19 with every day at their house, experiencing the joys, the pains of growing up and what that meant to me. That is why now, as I say, I've been mentoring young boys for 10 plus years in my various organizations, because it means that much. Right now within MNPS, we've established, working with our SEL department, something called Color of Voice, where we've been in several of our high schools speaking to young men of color. And it also hasn't been inclusive of our white students. Some of them, young boys, have participated as well. But we know that when we go in there and engage them in a different way, and we can connect with them at a different level, they give us feedback. They tell us what they need to be successful. Right now, as it comes with literacy, with our particular young black men, as we address the school to prison pipeline, it's going to take a community, it's going to take a village. It's going to take us partnering together. That's why with the My Brother's Keeper Network, which I work with and support Brother Lionel Matthews, who was a friend of mine since Tennessee State University. We're working with the United Way to put something together, Books Brothers, to have black men come and model reading to our young men. But what you're talking about is something that's vitally important to me, and that's why with the Rites of Passage program, with Quincy Engle, we are really working to make certain that we, in every school, find out ways that these students that need mentors, how do we create the framework to get them what they need? And not just us showing up, but I show up because I have to showcase it. And if I'm going to talk it, I'm going to be about it as well. So we have to do the same thing with our community groups. So we're engaging our faith community, our black faith community. We're engaging organizations like Propel, like NOAA, to say, we need you to come in and mentor, work with these young boys. Right? Someone had to believe in me enough to say, you need to get out of the way or that's going to be you. So I have to impart it in others. It is my job to work with this school district, to bring people in. That's why Dr. Battle said, Asher, we need to be working with American Baptist College and their SEAL program, social justice, equity, advocacy, and leadership initiative to really work with our young people. I want it to happen yesterday. Right, but we are laying the groundwork now, and that's why we started to jump in with these high schools where we saw the greatest need. My hope, my aim is that through this equity work, we will have a mentorship program in every school that is addressing the needs of all these young men, but we also have the community backing these young men in love and in support. We have Tennessee State University. We have all these universities that are out there with men that can do this work. This is the work. I want to say it's going to happen quick, but we are putting in levers in place to do that. And I'm actively working with the team to recruit individuals to say, what do you all need as young people? What are you not getting to be successful? And what can we do to put those levers in place? I have a list of about 15, 20 partners that have been mentors throughout this program over the past. Some have been reading partners, but some are not. but through the My Brother's Keeper Network and that alliance with Ed Trust and that alliance, we are really galvanizing people to say literacy, literally, again, is on the cusp of having these students be in that school to prison pipeline. Students have told me, hey, you know, I'm here to get my license. I need help reading, but never really got it. We have to change that. And we are here with this mentorship initiative to do that. More strategies will come in the future, but we are focused on that. And that is important to me, right? That is important to something that I want to see that we achieve and working together to achieve that.
Thank you, Ashford.
Thank you, Ashford. That was an amazing presentation. I want to echo my colleagues that was really inspiring. You clearly put a lot of work in. And how many months have you been in the district now? Has it been a year already?
I think it's 9.5, 10 months.
I joined right in time for the pandemic. So I want to just, first of all, thank Dr. Battle for prioritizing this position in your cabinet, for making sure that Ashford's voice is heard at the highest levels. I think it speaks to the importance that you place on equity. And I thought your framework was really inspiring. You know, one of the things that I didn't hear, I'm assuming is implied, is, you know, I have a mentor, Star Herman, who says, for every unit of change you expect, you have to provide an equal measure of support. And so for us to really change the paradigm in this district, we're going to have to support staff through a whole range of things. And one of the things I didn't hear here is how are we providing the tangible supports to schools? And one of those is through the student-based budgeting system. How are we prioritizing equity, helping principals understand how to make equitable decisions with their money in their building using disaggregated data and all the things, right? And I'm hoping you and your team are part of the framing of how we do student-based budgeting, I think. And then are we seeing the results? Are we getting what we're looking for? Because the unit of change is at the school. I mean, I think you're right. The principal is the unit of change here. And so I'd just like to hear that you're involved and that this framing is part of how principals are approaching funding all of their staffing and stuff.
So that is absolutely part of the conversations that I've been involved in, from speaking with Mr. Henson and others throughout the district. Why I did not put it in the presentation is because I haven't been fully enough to really give quality information to report on. And I would rather not report on it than give false information or inaccurate information. But that is definitely something that I'm a part of, a lot of conversations around that. I think people know, hey, this looks kind of, you know, let's call Ashford. Do we need to put some type of lens on this before we move forward? And I've been fortunate enough in a short period of time building relationships through a computer screen that people, you know, can trust me to say, hey, we believe what you're telling us. Hey, help us see this through a different lens, right? So I hope the next time you hear from me, I'll be able to better and accurately comment on that with an approach.
I mean, I think I'm not calling it out per se in the presentation. What I'm saying is it has to be part of the DNA of how we align resources to every school and how principals align resources to their teachers and how they prioritize programs or partnerships, right? Are we really embedding partners in a way that impacts equitable outcomes? So, but anyway, thank you for amazing work.
Thank you.
Frida.
One thing I'd just like to say, thank you for your work, and echoing everyone else says, but also just us as a board, as we continue through this lens, I like the way you laid out the complexity of equity. I think as we saw through this pandemic, you know, we had to make some tough choices that was uncomfortable for some people, for some stakeholders, some parents, and that as we do that, as we make this culture shift that's happening in our nation during terms of equity, but as we govern, that it's not a zero-sum game, but there is discomfort as we make a systematic change, as we fund equity, as we implement equity, and we make it part of our culture. So I just want to challenge all of us just around my colleagues here as we do it. We're going to have to make some really tough choices that we can't abstain on, we can't pass on, that we have to make collective choices as we make this a priority in a culture in a school, like what Jeannie said about making it more on a school level, and as Abigail said about, you know, giving the principals the ability to do it. We have to set the culture and the tone, and I may make some of our constituents uncomfortable or unhappy in the meantime until we create that foundation where everyone can benefit from it and will benefit from it. But it is a systematic change. I just want to challenge us as we go and have those discussions with the community at large, with those stakeholders, that it's not a one-time fix or it's not a one policy fix, because we can't eliminate or fix one program without affecting something else on another end like a balloon. So just making sure as we go into this that we're thoughtful in the process and the complexity, that it's not just a one-off thing. It's a complex thing that one affects another, but then also we have to have the courageous decisions and the courageous courage to do those things to make those they are equitable, especially in the long run when it comes to literacy and resources and education and culture and teaching and employee and business and all that stuff. Like, it's a big thing. And so just thank you for the work. Thank you for laying it out. So as we talk to our constituents, so as we talk to teachers, talk to parents, that this is the framework we do it, and the complexity of it is this not just giving resources to one part of town or to one segment of students. It's a more global aspect, and diversity and equity is measured in different ways, and that diversity is just a measurement and equity is the process that we do it. So I was just make sure we challenge us to do that, particularly as ourselves as an elected board, but also Dr. Bowden and our staff, that that we provide the leadership and the culture so she can do it, so you can do it, and the senior staff can implement it.
Rachel, and then, Mrs. Elrod, and then Mrs. Masters.
Thank you. I too am glad that this position has been prioritized, as we are a majority school district. We have, as we learned at the board retreat on this past Friday, a high number of students with IEPs. We have an increasing population of students with neurodiversities. And of course, as we heard through our participation today, we have ongoing concerns about our LGBTQ plus populations. So I guess my questions that I'm going to start with are about the next step slide. So within that, on the listening tour, and it's my understanding that might still be going on.
Yep.
How are we identifying who we were listening to?
I went through and looked at first starting with students, right? How do we identify student groups that either the organizations that I mentor that are in MNPS, some of the student councils that are there. One of the reasons we started the Color of Voice was to really go into the schools to hear from students that may not always rise up to be on these committees, but like they need to have their voices heard as well. So we looked at teachers. So for the most part, I've been trying to do or working to do this a lot with the small team that I have and with the support of the staff, going to talk to teachers. Haven't got anywhere near the level of engagement that I would like to have outside of, the teachers that I've been able to come in contact with in this environment, friends and colleagues that are teachers, but hopefully now with the support of Pencil and Deloitte helping me in this, we've identified how do we have stakeholders to really, from the teaching core at different points in time, to be able to engage them. We talked about the importance of families. Again, that trifecta of family, teachers, and students being engaged in the process is vitally important. So how do we meet families where they are and have those conversations? I met with some Propel families, at 6, 7 o'clock one night to hear from about 8 of them, right? Doing things like that, connecting with those families where their needs are. Definitely identified who within central office, within our support hub, needs to be a part of this. Curriculum, our MTSS team, all of the teams that say, let's talk about it, our counseling team, to really identify, hey, this is what I want to talk with you about. How do we make certain that we have information? I want to be able to connect with you. And then looked at who are the community groups that are advocates for this work? Who are the community groups that are really engaged and have come up to the panel on nights where public domain has been given to speak on some of the issues and address how do I connect with them, whether it's NOAA, whether it's Passages, whether it's Alignment, those other groups that are out there, whether it's the Parent Advisory Committee that I've been on and talked to as well. Those were some of the organizations, entities that I looked at, how do we support them or how do I engage them? Other parts and families, right? When we look at specific, because I have also a cousin that has disabilities, right? He has not only dyslexia, but he has high severe ADD. we talked about how do we connect with parents with disabilities. So Debbie McAdams has been, and her team have been one to help kind of galvanize groupings together so that we hear from those families as well, so that everybody knows that everybody has a stake in this support and understanding what equity is, so that we try to touch all the factors, right? If I have a blind spot, that's why I ask questions of the team. Who am I missing? Who have I not thought about that needs to be in these conversations? But one was just looking at a big asset map of all the organizations, entities across the county, right? Across our school district to identify where can I start to plug and listen? Where can I start to plug in? And now with support, I can do more of these focus groups to cover more ground to connect with more people.
And how long will the listening tour continue? My assumption is that it will go on forever as our communities continue to change. But to get to our implementation timeline, how long do we think we will have until then?
Well, a good leader never quits listening, right? But in order to meet our timeline, right, we'll continue this specific listening tour until the end of the summer, right, to be able to help us gather more information, to condense and make certain that we're hearing what we say, because I think communication is clear, has to be clear. Words matter. And I want to make certain when a parent tells us something that I recite back and I hear exactly what they're saying so that we are going in the same direction. So I would say by the end of this summer, the specific listening tours around our equity roadmap would end. But I think it's just beginning to do more listening as we talk about implementation, as we talk about assessing what things happen. Nashville, we've had every weather storm you can think of over the last year, so we don't know what's ahead of us. So always having the organization and the foundation and the structure and the process to listen is vitally important. Many of the team behind me have set up the same type of processes and structures as we talk about reimagining schools with our K-5 expansion, as we talk about the literacy initiatives. So we're putting those engagement mechanisms in place to do that continuous listening.
Yeah, I would imagine as well that, continuous listening is not going to end at the end of the summer. That, just like your commitment to, someone's commitment to being anti-racist is a daily commitment that you would have to make. I agree that listening is going to be something that we have to continue to do. And I look forward to seeing our timeline. To my colleague, Frida Player Peter's point, we're going to need to be able to have community input and community agreement to this somewhat, and being able to push this as a board and making sure that we have a unified voice on it. To that point, because of the amount of concerns that we heard tonight, have we identified any policies that we really should maybe be considering as a board in this listening tour thus far that we could maybe go ahead and get started before we get to that timeline to be more proactive?
I would have to follow back up with you on that. I would need to think and analyze on it. There's some thoughts in my mind, but to give you a better communicated answer, give me into the morning to follow back up with you on that.
Okay. Thank you. And let me check and make sure I don't have anything else. I have one more question about promising scholars, and then I will let you go. For promising scholars, we have the 2,250 staff that have applied. How many staff are needed? Are we on the right track is, I guess, my better question.
We are very happy and pleased with the number of staff members. I mean, we're talking about teachers, bus drivers, paraprofessionals. Right. That's all encompassing in that number, but I'm very pleased there because we weren't sure what that number would look like, but that is going to be a moving target until we finalize the registration process for our students. So we're in a good place for sure, but we'll continue to adjust based upon the number of applications and registrations that come in.
Okay. And then I guess back to this equitable lens, with promising scholars, is it still that a student, if they qualify for ESY, can go half a day and then continue through promising scholars?
What our team has done with regards to our students who will be eligible for ESY, extended school year program, and Promising Scholars, we have co-located our programs in the same building. So our ESY locations are the same as our Promising Scholars locations, and our exceptional education team will be working closely with the families and the staff to make available both programs during the day, since our ESY program is typically half day and Promising Scholars is a full day.
Okay, thank you.
Go right ahead, Ms. Masters.
I really appreciated that presentation. And I also, there's only one you, right? Because you do all this, and then you also are also the person who responds to me about optional schools stuff. And there's only one, Ashford?
There's Ashford Jr., but he's somewhere playing Minecraft right now.
So you do. So he is not pulling his weight, okay? Yeah. Okay, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. It's very appreciated, and I think we certainly are going to need to think moving forward about expanding the team that's focusing on these efforts, because it's so important and integral to the work being done. I just wanted, I picked up on cultural competency of educators, and I wanted to just expand a bit more on including leaders and school level leaders in that. Our Lisa Kimbrough, who spoke about her trans daughter, who she does not feel comfortable sending into her zoned elementary school because of the lack of sort of understanding that was coming from the administrator there and even the guidance counselor there. And that's just one example. I'm sure there are many, many more of our school-based leaders not being fully equipped with the policies and strategies necessary for every child to be known, for every child to be met where they are. So I just wondered, and you already did a little, but if you had anything more to add about how we will increase the knowledge and capacity of school-based leaders around all of these initiatives.
I think that's one, working with the team as we reimagine, what have you, what does professional development look like? What does consistent professional learning look like? As I've been working with the team that is over human management, like what does a equity 101 look like as new teachers come in and on board? How do we establish the culture, the expectations, and the cultural responsiveness that we desire of our teachers coming in and of our workers anywhere, whether they're teaching, whether they're driving a bus, or whether they're in the cafeteria? We all interact with students. That's one avenue. But I think as we continuously develop this out, then we see what is actually needed. How do we make this journey consistent? Whether we look at implicit bias, whether we look at any type of cultural understandings across ethnicity, across sexual orientation, it has to be continuous. Nothing happens over one training for 2 hours, we check the box and go on. So the work around this will be forever changing. I'm grateful to work with Dr. Joy Gus, who is also hosting some book sessions with teachers and leaders across the district, really analyzing and doing self-reflections on how do we better engage and interact, how do we understand our place and our value within this system, and how do we create value and importance for our students. So while we are developing all these things, I think it goes back to Board Member Walker's conversation about how do we make certain that the supports are there. So we look at, hey, let's identify what's needed. Let's identify how we make it a continuous learning process. And then we evaluate, like, how do we know when we get there? So we're in the process of how do we know when an individual is where we would like for them to be engaging with students? So it's something that we continuously will develop out. And I hope to have somewhat of that process for you as we come back and deliver, this is our product, this is how we move forward.
I think that sounds fantastic. I would suggest as well, I know of at least 3 schools in our school system where there are trans children thriving as a result of the efforts of school leaders. And so, of course, it's frustrating to know that's not the case district-wide. So we could seek out best practices right here within our own schools because it's happening. But we could even then, and I spoke with a principal about this the other day, who is really striving to embrace all kinds of differences within his school. And I think he could even use, he's doing great in my mind, but I think he could even use more resources and supports, and even to know that as a system, that's where our policies stand. And I like the question about what sort of policies do we as a board need to be putting forth to make our position in these areas really clear. So I look forward to your thoughts on that. And I have just a couple more things, if I may. It's on an evening when issues around LGBTQA+ students have been brought to the forefront in such a big way. I just want to be sure everyone's aware. Statistically speaking, we probably have about 4,000 LGBT students in our school system. About 1,500 of them are probably trans, if you're just looking at percentages. LGB students are more than twice as likely to attempt suicide. Trans kids are more than 3 times as likely to attempt suicide as their straight or gender-conforming counterparts. So this is a really important group of students for us to be considering when we are talking about providing the supports that are necessary to thrive in our schools. And when you talk about culture, practice, and leadership, and I asked Dr. Springer about this with implicit bias training, will this include information about our LGBT students? And I got, of course, the answer I wanted, because my feeling is that as a board and as an administration, MNPS cares about every student. I've stated that many times from this seat. I just want to be sure that we are really wrapping our minds around the issue at hand and that lives are at stake. I think that's all. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Others? Dr. Gentry?
Hi, Asher. So I don't know that this is a question or this is something that I would anticipate you having a clear response to tonight, so don't panic. But I think everyone knows that this isn't this district's first foray into this equity seat. Previous boards have had the conversation. We've taken the conversation to where it will have the most impact. And if this is something that's important to us, as teacher pay has been proven to be and we've demonstrated is important to us, we've demonstrated that through the budget. And so in previous boards where we have made changes to the budget, they have definitely impacted what Ms. Walker has referred to, that this referenced the student-based budget, which then impacts what resources, what activities, what extracurricular bonuses and experiences students can have. And so the thing that I'm looking for, Ashford, is, we've talked about teachers, we've talked about expanding it to all leaders, but we can't forget that this board is a part of that leadership. And so when we talk about professional development and equipping individuals to have conversations around equity, to have conversations and addressing the concerns when we get to the point where we have to be courageous. When we get to the point, and I think, I don't know if it was Ms. Elrod's comment, I wrote down the word may, and say that parents may have a concern about it. Parents and teachers may voice some concerns when it gets to the fact that down to brass tacks and the hard decisions around resources and distribution of funding has to be made. This board has not always been very good at responding to those concerns. And so I would hope that the board is included in some form of professional development. We all, again, are nodding our heads around this table that this is the right thing to do, and I believe, as Ms. Masters does, that fundamentally each person here at this table believes that this is the right thing to do. And that, to Ms. Masters' point, it's not a broad stroke effort. It is complex, as Ms. Blair-Peters has said, that it is about the individual student if we really are serious about every student known, that what it takes to be equitable for all 80+ thousand students of our 80+ thousand of our students is going to take some real digging into who those students are, what their needs are, what the challenges and barriers, whether they're social, emotional, or academic, to their success, that at the end of 13 years, they are that student, that citizen that you've talked about, Mr. Hughes. And so this board needs to be prepared and trained and equipped with the right, and I'm sure it's in this presentation, but some simple, straightforward responses to the emails and the text messages about what happened to the 2 of the 5 strings teachers that my school had, to the question that says, how does removing those 2 strings teachers from my school help the literacy outcomes for a school in District 1? Because those are the questions that we are going to get asked, because everyone, even people watching this presentation right now, out in TV land, are nodding their heads that it's the right thing to do until it hits home. And it's going to hit home when we did make a little bit adjustment in that percentage of Title I dollars. It wasn't what was initially asked for to have the impact that we know is necessary, but we made some movement in that direction. It's going to require moving a little bit more, pushing a little bit more on what that threshold is, and getting dollars, to your question, Ms. Elrod, getting dollars to where they need to be to have the difference and recognize the outcomes that you've articulated in your presentation. So I would just encourage that at some point in your preparation of professional development that the board is included in that, and that we are equipped to stand with you, to stand with Dr. Battle, to stand with all of you that are doing the work and making the effort and making the adjustments to get to this space of equity, to create a universal lens through which we view all of our programs and all of our decisions and all of the ways in which we deliver and engage with our students one-on-one. Because when every student is actually known, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get to that work. And if you don't have a board of 9, not 8, not a majority, but if you don't have a board of 9 that is prepared to have the conversation with the parent that's worried about the 2 strings teachers, it's going to be even more difficult for you. Thanks.
That was such a great drop the mic moment, but I have some questions. I'm sorry. But actually, she touched on mine.
You can pick that mic up and just finish.
I appreciate it. So now the trainings, this is a bit of a in the weeds questions. I'm just wondering because I know I've been asked by community members. Trainings around implicit bias, are those mandatory for educators, or I really just want to hear it for the community to hear. That are they mandatory, or is this a self-selection?
I defer that to Dr. Battle.
Yes, thank you for the question. So I'm just going to step back for just a moment because Dr. Gentry mentioned this at the end of her comments. Everything that we're talking about falls under the Every Student Now umbrella. So when you think about our core tenets, when you think about our focus outcomes, when you think about those 14 signature initiatives, this great team, which I'm so honored to work with because we have so much knowledge and expertise, came together for many, many days and hours. And the thought process literally was, what will it take for every MNPS student to be known? And so when we had this conversation, it came up, I think Ms. Masters or Ms. Tyler asked us about professional development. That's why you see that strategic investment in our operational budget. That's why we know we have to expand that work in order for us to create these engaging, differentiated professional learning opportunities that we can connect with all leaders at all levels. And so that's where that thought process has come from. So in order for us to do that, we have to expand our structure, our capacity and structure, and in people to be able to provide those opportunities. And it will take us as we move forward to redesign a whole lot of other things, like our calendar. There are some requirements there. So going into next school year, what you will have, every school must continue to adopt their Tier 1 approach. That's the requirement. Every school must have one, and all of their team members must train around it. We have to be very careful, though, and I think we've talked about this once before, around the language we use for mandatory trainings. That requires additional investment when you require them, particularly when it's outside of the school day. And so we will have some mandatory trainings this year, mainly around literacy and some other things aligned to our core strategies. Right now for our SEL work, implicit bias, cultural, what am I trying to say? Culturally responsive teaching, thank you, and some of those other trainings. Dr. Spring and her team have worked closely with our CNI team. We will be releasing a PD catalog And we've got a very unique way that we're going to roll that out this year to encourage that professional development for our staff and the planning to go along with it. So once you have built your capacity, what are you going to do with this new learning and new ways, potentially, or stronger strategies to implement? So it's less about the requirement or mandatory and making sure we're meeting the individual needs of our students with consistency around our values and beliefs as a school district. So those offerings will be made available throughout the summer. As we move into next school year and beyond, every school must adopt their Tier 1 approach and have the follow-up training to go along with it.
Can you help with the shared language to make sure the community understands when you say a Tier 1 approach?
So there's 3 levels, particularly around our SEL response. Dr. Springer helped me in case I have a brain freeze here. We have our social emotional learning approach. We have PBS and restorative practices are our 3 main. And then we also will be offering to complement those implicit bias, the culture responsive teaching, so on and so forth. But the core approach must be consistent within the school.
Gotcha. Again, I've realized that a lot of the misinformation in the community is because there's a misunderstanding around language and around expectations with that language. So thank you for breaking it down. But even beyond that, to Dr. Gentry's point, training is always an interesting topic because it's not something you can mandate outside of in-service days. We can't, for equity work to be real work, we have to change hearts and minds. And I won't generalize, what I, as a young or woman of a certain age that's fairly young, woman in STEM who's African American, what I've experienced is that many of the people who need these kinds of trainings don't self-identify in that way. They don't realize their bias that we all have, but they don't realize it and how it shows to their students. So I appreciate the mandated the Tier 1 approaching. Well, again, I think back to when we had to cut this past year. We had to cut dollars from central office because there's always been this misunderstanding in the community about what our central office staff does. And the idea that we have an Ashford Hughes that not only manages equity work, should be driving equity data, sharing it with the community, building relationships, is also the person responsible for the school choice, means that we have a fundamental underfunding of thought partners. We need to clear the path for our principals and our teachers to be able to do the good work. But if we don't have enough money in a central pot to be able to support family engagement, to be able to adequately support equity work, to be able to support navigating school choice options, we do our families a disservice. So we've got to stay on this soapbox, driving this home to the community that we are not mismanaging money, we just don't have enough of it. And there are so many different needs. Again, just being at the Capitol for those 2 weeks was really eye-opening about the misperception and misunderstanding around what it takes to educate a child and what it takes to educate diverse children. So anyway, I'll pull back a bit. Could you talk, or better, could you unpack just a bit? Toward the end of your presentation, you talked about the data scope and how that's kind of one of those steps. You mentioned a dashboard. Could you unpack that just a bit and maybe take me through a timeline if you have one in mind? And it can be a rough timeline.
Yeah, I think when I was speaking of the kind of dashboard was the partnership with Dr. Changas and his team about the data dashboard that is one of our signature initiatives. But also just understanding that I want to be transparent with the community to say this is what we're trying to measure, right? So I think in not maybe having it all mapped out where it's nice and pretty, but at least having something on my page that says these are the metrics around equity that we are seeking to measure. We all know the discipline, numeracy, literacy, advanced academics, what does that look like? But what are some qualitative things that we can put on there that we're measuring based off of our survey that we do, panorama survey, and some of the belonging questions that we ask some of our students. So I think as I continue to work with Dr. Changas, we'll be able to map that out. But I would like to have everything concurrent with each other as I provide and as we provide the final document later this summer.
Okay, so we're looking over the summer at a tentative time to have a dashboard that we can talk with the community about. That's helpful. And of course, I understand that things may change, but please just keep us updated because I'll be excited to see that and be able to share that in the community. I know that there are a lot of different community work groups, and I mentioned this toward the end of last year about having board members, if you were open to it, to sit in some of these seats in these work groups as community members and or leaders. I know Alignment Nashville does a great job of convening groups. They actually have a data team, a data A team that talks through data agreements and all those things for different community partners that want to engage with MNPS. Are there any community work groups you sit with or that you know of that could use a school board perspective, or that could that needs us to sit in those work groups to hear from the community? I mean, not as a fly on the wall, but actually participate as work groups. So something where we would not intimidate community members who are already in those work groups, but that we could really add to the conversation and do some work.
Well, I think one that I serve on is Passage, and the work that they're doing. I believe you may have presented one time early on, but I believe they need that different perspective. NOAA, which has a group that's focused on a lot of things on the education space, really needs someone from the board to be there listening to give a different perspective. Those are the two that I can call out right now. I would also say the IMF, Interdenominational Ministers Fellowship, as I serve and listen to them and we talk about what's taking place in education. I believe they need a strong infusion of what's taking place in Metro. And those are the ones that come to mind right now that are kind of like the most active, that are working with us, weekly, monthly, to try to find solutions to these complex problems that we're faced with. Those are the three that really stand out right now.
All right, well, as you think of others, please feel free to let me or let us know. I mean, Dr. Severe and Mrs. Bobo can kind of help us strategize and think through how to sit in those spaces appropriately, be working community members also. I'm sorry to just throw y'all out there, but my thought partners. I know in all of our the data that we get is typically broken down by demographic. When you talk about this dashboard, I'm assuming that it'll have not just disparity data based on consequences or out of school time, but it'll also talk about literacy rates, poverty rates, enrollments of schools. I mean, will it be a really high arching, a big umbrella that captures everything, or is it going to be more kind of academically focused?
I can't answer that for you right now. In the process of developing all of that.
Okay.
I hope to have a better answer for you in the future.
Okay. And lastly, I think this is, and you can, if you don't mind, you can be seated. I think that was my last question for you. This is just a general statement around advocacy. I'm sure Mrs. Masters will talk a bit more about our time in our committee at the board retreat, but we are certainly advocating to the state. We're looking to ramp that up in different ways and actually start engaging with the State Board of Education. But please know that it's not lack of effort. We don't always talk about these things, but we're communicating with council members. We're responding to community members. We're engaging with staff, and we are certainly reaching out to the state legislature. So please continue to advocate to us, but also remember where our power is limited. Feel free. I mean, I do think next year when the world is officially back open, we need to revisit that day on the Hill, because that could be really powerful for community members, but it also was very powerful for those state legislators. The last thing I'll say around equity is that, it's just been a really interesting time the last 3 days have just been rough. If you have at all been watching the news or been on social media, it's been hard. And equity work is very, very important, and it's something that, I drive through East Nashville, and I will literally see yards littered with Black Lives Matter signs, but then I look at the schools in that district or in that community, and I listen to parents who will say they would never send their kid to their zone school because it's unsafe. A school they've never walked into, but a school that they are making assumptions around, and honestly, it is typically based on race. And unfortunately, race and class mirror one another. They definitely correlate. So we have these great conversations around equity. And as Dr. Gentry said, it's like we at this table, the community just nods, and yes, we're all about equity until your snowflake has to give up just a little bit so someone else's snowflake can have just a little bit more of what they need. And I can't press that enough, that we've got to be more mindful as community members how we impact equity. Whether you're a leader at this table or you're just a community member with a child or someone who lives in the community as a neighbor, we all influence equity by the words we use, by the perceptions we maintain, by the open-mindedness that we either take on or ignore, and we've just got to do a better job as Nashville, as a community at large, because babies are literally hanging in the balance. A 3-year-old died yesterday. I have a 3-year-old, Dr. Battle. has a 3-year-old. And we end up arguing about all of the wrong things. We don't talk about those. We don't talk about anything that we can actually seek to measure quickly. I'm not going to cry, so we'll go on to committee reports. Would anyone like to begin before I call on you? Well, actually, I mean committee reports or a review of our board retreat. Every once in a while, we have a board retreat to make sure we can actually unpack and have work sessions, ask questions. It's just a longer, full day, and in the past, it's typically been a day and a half. So it's a good time for us to really dig into data, ask questions, and build relationships as a board. But things are going to be moving really, really quickly and differently this year with the budget process, so we will likely have another board retreat in May. This one is one that we're looking to have TSBA come and the Tennessee School Board Association come and host a half-day professional development. Tammy Grissom and Ben Torres, I know they don't mean much to you in names, but they are the leaders of that organization. They'll be working with us to make sure that we are acting as appropriately as possible to make the kind of gains that our community wants us to make for students. So that was the essence of the board retreat. It was this past Friday. Thank you to the staff that was able to present. I really do appreciate my colleagues and the staff for for having my baby there. I knew he hit that wall midday when he started biting his tablet, but I appreciate that you all maintain professionalism, that you all were so sweet to him. So we already have had a recap of budget, but please feel free Mrs. Player Peters to talk through that. Advocacy, Mrs. Masters, if you wouldn't mind touching on that. Anyone else that I missed? Oh, Dr. Gentry with Director's Eval. If there's anything I missed, just let me know. Mrs. Player Peters?
Earlier today, we passed the budget. We passed the resolution for the operating budget, the nutrition budget, and the strategic investment budget. So those passed unanimously. So at this point, those will be transmitted to the mayor's office. The mayor has to file his budget by May 1st, which is a Saturday, so most likely probably April 30th. So we will work with Mr. Fisher and the mayor's office for any questions or clarification. So this is also a good time for parents and students and teachers to really articulate the investment of our taxpayer dollars, that if education is a priority for you, that you will make that known to Mayor Cooper, but also to the Metro Council. We have our department budget hearing on May 26th at 5 p.m. in Metro Council chambers, Scobie chambers. And so at the courthouse downtown, so that will be the next steps. Once we receive the budget allocation, along with the Metro General Government from Mayor Cooper, the council will consider the budget in 3 readings. And then from that, we will take the number that Mayor Cooper and the Metro Council allots us, and then we'll come back and put more defined framework onto the budget. So I would ask the community to make sure that as we move on, you've seen and heard from the community about the resources that are requested of us and from us, that we have shown where our priorities are. And now it's on the lens of the Metro General Government to show what numbers so we can act on those priorities and those strategic plans. So again, thank you to Dr. Battle and our staff, the way we've transformed the way we present the budget, showing our priorities and showing the true costs and show transparency. Thank you to Ms. Elrod, Mr. Henson, and to many of those who have worked with Metro Council to show how we've been very transparent of how we fund, how we calculate, and where we spend our dollars and the efficiency of our dollars, that we have worked to show where our dollars go and where our values are. And so now we are now just moving forward to wait. So we will continue to be a part of that. Thanks for everyone for their input. And I think that's where we are. So we will have another budget meeting probably in mid-June, once we get the budget allocation to finish out the details of the budget.
All right, Mrs. Masters.
Sure. So we started the retreat with a discussion about advocacy, and Mark North gave us an update on state-level legislation that has been passed or is pending or has been put off till next year, everything around education. And we focused our conversation heavily on state-level advocacy, feeling that we, between having Robert Fisher, who comes to our meetings, which we really appreciate, and then the joint council and school board meetings that we've been having, and our access to the mayor to have conversations with him, we feel like we have gotten into a fairly good place with our council level, local metro level advocacy. At least the communication lines are very much open. So we wanted to talk about how we could become a little more proactive when it comes to our state level advocacy, and how we as a body could move towards being seen as reliable thought partners, reliable sources of information about education in our state to our state legislators. And so we are going to be taking some steps moving forward to try to open those lines of communication so that we will be able to talk with state legislators when bills around education that will deeply affect our students come into play. And so that they will understand that we are the folks that are working in this day in and day out. And we're coming at this very much with an understanding that not all state legislators are experts in every area. They come from different sectors. And we would very much like to position the MNPS board and administration as trusted partners at the state level, since it does affect us so deeply. And that was pretty much what we talked about. I got a little bit rudimentary on everyone, giving you out a little how to talk to your legislator sheet. But I like a little how-to sheet with some do's and don'ts. So we talked about that a little bit as well.
Wonderful. Dr. Gentry?
Yeah, so we did have the opportunity to see the amazing work that the team here at Central Office came together and delivered the version of, from our rough rudimentary version of the director's evaluation tool, and did an amazing job of recreating that functionality in an online platform that board members will have access to begin to engage in the director evaluation process. So we did agree that we will have a summative evaluation coming up here soon, and we'll put some dates out for board members to know when that's going to happen, and I think and when it'll be finalized. The great part about the tool is that we've also learned that it will give alerts to board members as Dr. Battle is entering her information. After this summative evaluation, we will do quarterly evals, a Q1, a Q2, and a Q3. This is where Dr. Battle will provide updates to us quarterly. We do have the option to not comment on those quarterly updates, but we do have to check the box, both on the quarterly and the summative, that we have read them. We must indicate that we have at least read them, even if we don't choose to comment. And then, of course, there'll be not a fourth quarter eval, but a summative evaluation at the end of the fourth quarter. So again, super excited about the tool. There are some opportunities to enhance the tool even as it sits today. But as my charge was to my colleagues is that unless we can commit and codify this tool as a tool for the district and not just a tool for this board, as you know, we've had a different evaluation process and system for the 13 years I've been here. I've been 13 of them. So if we get to the point where after going through it and using it that we believe this is the right way, the right tool, the right process, then we can discuss what enhancements and then whatever process we need to go through to formally codify this as our evaluation tool / process, then we need to do that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Sorry, today we also had a naming a schools committee meeting after budget. Within that, we formally changed the name from early college high school to middle college. I wrote it down wrong here. Middle college high school to early college high school as it's already historically known. So we wanted to make sure that we more procedurally fix that for them. So that's what we did in consent agenda.
The last thing is we're almost in compliance. Mayor Cooper has mandated that each board member of a governing board around the city or commission or board takes an ethics training. We are almost in compliance. Most of us have made it. I think we're just missing one. So Attorney Roberge will just be working with you to make sure that we are in compliance and talk about next steps. With that, we'll start with announcements. Dr. Gentry?
So this, I want to say it was yesterday, but it could have been a month ago. It's probably yesterday, though. Robert Churchwell had their final session with their 18 mentors and mentees. So it was 16. So it was 8 seasoned veteran teachers who were paired with 8 mentees. So they were either, 5 of them were new to Churchwell, 3 of them are first-time teachers. So I did have an opportunity to address them at the end of their session and hopefully encourage them to stay the course and help them to, and assured them that as a board, we recognize the challenge that they face in this space of education and educating our students, especially educating students in the population that we have as a minority district. And so it was great to be able to do that. It did get a little emotional, but I always do when I talk about our kids. Whites Creek, and Dr. Griffin just shared with me a link to an article on SCORE, if I got that right, about the impact that providing larger opportunities for advanced academics, which includes the early college, is having. So Dr. Mells has committed to not allowing the pandemic to be a barrier to doing what's right for those students, ensuring that academics and high quality academics continues to be a focus, continues to be made available. And so there's an article out on SCORE right now about that work, and now they're taking a look at sort of assessing what the impact has been and understanding that there's still more work to do, and creating a plan about how they will move forward and continuing to support the current advanced academic options that are available to the students, and then what the data tells them about what additional opportunities should be afforded to the students. So super excited. Again, Dr. Mells is doing amazing work at Whites Creek. He has great support from the Whites Creek Alumni Association that meets, I think, every other month. We have a meeting coming up on April 27th, which is a school board night, so we'll be late to that conversation. But they are also very engaged and very interested in hearing how they can help and how they can support the work that Dr. Mells, the teachers, the staff, and the families and students are engaged in there at Whites Creek.
Thank you. Mrs. Pupa-Walker.
I want to start by congratulating Mose Phillips from the class of 2020 at Hillsborough High School for being announced that he'll be inducted into the MNPS Sports Hall of Fame. Music City Center has got open slots this week for vaccines. You can register at covid-19.nashville.gov for this week, appointments this week. Anybody listening, go get vaccinated. We will have a student member of the board application released soon in the coming days. I want to thank Ms. Bobo for helping with that and the communications team. We will be very excited to receive applications from high school students. I want to wish all of our Muslim neighbors happy Ramadan and blessings to that community. I also want to take a minute to acknowledge the gun violence that took place yesterday in Knoxville, at East Austin, and here in Nashville. And as a longtime advocate for gun control, I'm going to get on my soapbox and say that in the United States this year, we've had 130 mass shootings, just this year. There's been 4 in England, ever. Okay? Tennessee has the 8th highest rates of gun homicides in the country. Firearms are the leading cause of death among children in Tennessee. We have an average of 105 children die every year from guns. 60% of those are homicides. And so we have a governor who pushed legislation this year to make it easier to get a gun with no training, with no permit. 75% of Tennesseans oppose that legislation. Even more think that we should not ban classes to get a gun. Yet we're going in the opposite direction. So I'm pleading with our governor, Bill Lee, and our legislature, if you seriously value student mental health, why would you make guns more accessible, make it easier for people to cause harm to children, to families, to schools? It should not be normal that we have school shootings in this country. It's embarrassing. It's terrifying that our children have to think about what to do when there's an active shooter in their school. And so 75% of Tennesseans don't support this bill, yet somehow this governor and this legislature have decided to do this to us. And so I just think we need to stop and think about using our voice to protect our children, to protect our families, to protect our communities. And, you know, I don't believe having more guns equals freedom. I actually believe it limits our freedom. It makes me more scared to go out. It makes me more scared to engage. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox now, but my heart's with my colleague Evity Satterfield in Knoxville, who's the school board member for Austin East, who attended Austin East, who's lifting up her community this week. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Bush?
No announcements.
Mr. Little?
Sorry.
I can come back to you. Mrs. Flair Peters? I'll come to you after.
I just want to echo the sentiments of Ms. Poo Walker. I am also a friend of school board member Evity Satterfield. And so just to her, the Knox County School Board, and to Superintendent Bob Thomas to say we stand in solidarity with you. This is the biggest fear of any elected officials or director of schools, to have something like that to happen in your own school building or property. That our hearts go out to, and we feel with you, and we just stand in solidarity of what this tragic moment in time has to be. And then also, I'd like to send condolences to former union president Debbie Sisko of CWA 838. We were in a labor movement together. Her daughter, Maria Varsko, was a Hume-Fall graduate who was murdered yesterday. So going back to the importance of social emotional learning, what it does to really make productive citizens, that it goes beyond the school board. Our main goal is to educate kids, to make sure they can learn the academic material, but it also makes them better citizens, to be productive citizens. So when we talk about social emotional learning, that's a priority in our budget, that we want to fund it. That's why. Because they are citizens. Debbie was a great president. I worked with her son personally, and she was a great leader with women moving the movement, and also with her union members with their own education, even outside of the formal schoolroom, but even in education as an employee, to continue to better yourself and to be better union members, to fight for workers' rights and ability. So just as someone and part of the MNPS family, our hearts go out to them. On a better note, or a lighter note, congratulations to BB Hines, or Elizabeth Hines, who's the PAC president. She's in my district, so congratulations to being the leader of that. And then also to the MNPS Hall of Fame, there's 2 Glencliff graduates, Larry House, who's in the class of 2020 induction class, and Derica Baker Dunn, who's in the 2021 class. Congratulations to them. And then also in my district, we have a large and important community, Muslim community in my district, and I am proud to represent them. And so as they observe Ramadan, someone who's fasted for Lent for 6 weeks, please give our students of the Muslim faith some grace as they go through their education, because when you're hungry, after hour 16, sometimes you get a little in a hangry place sometimes. So give them a little grace as they come from this moment of this religious expression and spirituality, that we give them grace, but also celebrate them in this time of their religious expression and commitment, and that we stand with them for that. So thank you.
All right, we'll come back to Mr. Little and then go back to Ron this way.
Wanted to recognize this past Friday, we honored late great Anna Shepard at the McGavick Coalition with a scholarship, which her husband put it out to raise $1,500. I think it's close to $4,000 now. Kudos, as Frida said, Ms. Player Peters said, to the Parent Advisory Council, Ms. Elizabeth Hines, who was a Propel parent, Mr. Kevin Walker, who's in my district, and Ms. Johnson, who was fired up about changing the perception of schools. I'm going to be bringing forth a resolution after hearing close to 50 parents from the Pearl Cone cluster around Purpose Prep. So I look forward to that, of working with the district. And just reminder that we'll have virtual office hours. The first guest will be the Parent Advisory Council, and it'll be Saturday, April the 24th at 11 a.m. And then last but not least, Propel parents will be out in Andrew Jackson this week, Napier, and Casey passing out flyers and talking about the Promising Scholars Program.
All right, Mrs. Masters?
I'm sorry. I sit here and I email all of the staff while I'm sitting here as I'm thinking of things. So that's why I'm constantly on my computer. Just multitasking like you do. I don't think I did want to make one announcement. I know I sound like a broken record tonight. I do care about all children, not just LGBTQ children. But I did want to point out that one of the first votes we made on October 13th, when I first joined the board, we did add gender identity and expression to our anti-bullying policy in MNPS, which I think is a great base from which to begin with the additional work. So I just wanted to be sure and mention that. And I also wanted to echo Frida in offering my condolences to the family and friends of Debbie Sisko. I talked with her during my campaign for school board, and the Communications Workers of America were supporters of my campaign, and she was very kind and encouraging and informative, and I just appreciated her advocacy. I feel like especially for women seeking leadership roles, and she will be very sorely missed.
Thank you. Mrs. Tyler?
I just want to take a moment to honor our longtime Bellevue Middle School teacher, Jenny Tigard, who unexpectedly passed away last Thursday. Jenny grew up in Bellevue and graduated from Hillwood High School. And she grew up in a family who deeply valued community service, and she took those values to heart. She loved the Bellevue community, and she poured much of her free time into supporting it. She could be found at just about any local sporting events, including Vanderbilt Commodore and Nashville Predators games. And through her more than 15 years at Bellevue Middle School, she touched the lives of countless students and their families. She was a reliable figure for her students long after they left her class. And her fellow teachers knew that they could count on her for support, and she regularly brightened everyone's day with her keen sense of humor and her welcoming attitude. Her loss is an enormous one for the community, and I send my condolences to her family, to her friends, and everybody who knew her. If you have a personal connection and want to come, there is a visitation tomorrow night at Bellevue Presbyterian Church from 4 to 6, and there will be a celebration of life service immediately following it at 6 o'clock. So this is an enormous loss.
Thank you, Mrs. Tyler. Mrs. Elrod?
Thank you. At Overton High School, the end-of-course testing schedule is April 21st through April 28th, with makeups following. And lots of additional information about that end-of-course testing and the schedules along with it are within this week's weekly update that was sent out yesterday. Additionally, senior prom is May 7th, and they are quite excited about that. And so we are glad that they're able to do so. I also sit on the pencil board along with Ms. Masters, and I wanted to share some information because we had several meetings with them over the past 2 weeks. With Pencil, just this past weekend, they had a free book fair, and it was open to MNPS librarians, teachers, and literacy specialists. And they had about over 100 people that attended, and they gave away 11,286 books, 141 cases of poster board, and in general, they gave over about $128,000 worth of product. And we appreciate Pencil's partnership on not only providing materials for our teachers, but for our students. Additionally, starting tomorrow, Pencil Box is going to start doing what are called pop-ups, and they're going to be happening at the following schools over the next 3 weeks. They're going to be at Amqui, Cumberland, Tom Joy, McMurray, Warner, and Hayes. So they're trying to make sure that they show up at those schools and provide services directly to those teachers, because they've been able to look at their data and realize that those teachers aren't able to access their Pencil Box at those locations. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so hooray for graduations. It is almost graduation season. I know this has been an interesting, long year, but we will finally be able to celebrate something. So congratulations to graduating seniors. If you're someone that wants to cheer on a school in your area, please feel free to visit that school's website or see what are ways that you can celebrate those students. Some principals, some community achieve site directors, and some of the counselors are partnering with community members to make baskets or send letters or just in other ways celebrate this graduation. On a somber note, we want to send our thoughts and prayers and hugs and love to Matthew Portell, the wonderful, phenomenal executive principal of Fall Hamilton Enhanced Option School. It's an elementary school that focuses on trauma-informed care. He's just a great person. He leads a great staff, but is having some family illness, so please just send your thoughts to him. But in the same breath, Fall Hamilton is having a partners meeting because the work doesn't stop. They're having a partners meeting tomorrow at noon. If you would like to participate, please feel free to follow up with me. This is something that many other community achieves schools do. They host community partner meetings where anyone from the community can tap into the work and see how they can partner. East High School, we want to send our love and our thoughts to them as they go through this IB process. If you're not familiar with IB, the simplest way I can synthesize it for you is that it's an advanced academic programming that really focuses on global mindedness, making sure that we think through and experience other cultures and other perspectives. It's a really great programming for young people. So congratulations, I'm going to say it in advance. Congratulations, East High School. Thank you, Advanced Academics team, for all that you're doing to support those students in that high school. Congratulations to Pencil on their 39th birthday that was celebrated now a week ago. Really a beautiful a beautiful celebration virtually, but still congratulations to them and thank you for continuing to partner with us. The Academies of Nashville, if you're not familiar with them, that is our version of vocational programming. That is our way of making sure that students are college and career ready. The Academies of Nashville really is a premier set of programming that allows for pathway development for our different comprehensive high schools so that students can experience the real world. They can understand how their chosen field or their chosen pathway or just their general education content, how that can prepare them for a job in the real world. And so we love that the Academies tour is continuing to happen even in the virtual space, and we just thank the Academies of Nashville, Alignment Nashville, everyone involved for all that they do. Back on a somber note, Gideon's Army, an organization that specifically focuses on supporting 37208, that's a zip code in North Nashville, making sure to act as violence interrupters, making sure to build true partnerships around the community to make sure that whatever community issues there are do not continue to grow, that they, all I can say is that they mitigate interruptions, and they had a dire loss the last week. It's just been a rough experience for families in that area. So please send your thoughts to Gideon's Army and really all of North Nashville for this last week. But to raise us back up, to give you a little bit of a smile, the Nashville Public Library, yay, they are back open. Now, don't go flocking, don't run, but you can still do the curbside pickup, or you can also enter the building. It's sometimes just good to go to the library. And lastly, thank you, Mr. Little, on the purpose prep. I just want to make sure, I just think it's always important that we separate MNPS and its staff from the MNPS board. I know I had a few families that were anticipating the purpose prep conversation tonight, and we did not have it. It was not on the part, MNPS staff did not drop the ball, the board dropped the ball. So Mr. Little will be working with some of our central office staff to talk through next steps, but that will be on the next agenda. And with that, again, there's so much more we could say about the events of this past week, but I just ask that we all just work to be better people in the future. Be there no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.